Welcome back to Key Point on TV3. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. And this is the poll tracker. This is the segment that we would deal with publicly verifiable data that you can check for yourself every step of the way as we have the conversation. Now, this is centered specifically on matters of politics, the economy, anything of concern to you watching us that is rooted in data. This morning, we're going straight into the Kpandai constituency. There's been a lot that's been happening over the last couple of weeks after the Tamale High Court rendered its ruling on this parliamentary election results in the Kpandai constituency after the 2024 elections. Matthew Nyendam was declared winner. It was contested. And in fact, the ruling that's come through has seen a number of things, a series of events play out after that. The first being the challenge by Matthew Nyendam. There was a latest one earlier in the week. Now they have two active challenges of that declaration or that ruling by the Tamale High Court trial judge. The second one is an application at the Supreme Court seeking to quash that particular judgment that led to now the rerun of the Kpandai constituency parliamentary elections. Regardless, we saw this week the clerk to Parliament writing and notifying the Electoral Commission and just give you a picture of that notification that the clerk sent to the Electoral Commission, notifying it of the vacancy in Parliament, occurrence of vacancy of or in the membership of Parliament. This is the letter that sparked the chaos in Parliament on Wednesday. Well, while the members of Parliament were at it on the floor of Parliament, I'm talking about the minority in Parliament, the Electoral Commission also now put out this notification declaring the Kpandai seat, essentially, said it's going to be a rerun. That seat is vacant. This is it. The Electoral Commission wishes to inform the general public that following the Tamale High Court's ruling on Monday, the 24th of November 2025, ordering a rerun of the Kpandai constituency parliamentary election within 30 days. And upon receipt of a letter from the clerk, what I just showed to you, Tuesday, 9th December, formally notifying the Commission of the occurrence of a vacancy in the membership of Parliament, the seat of the constituency in Parliament has become vacant. That's what the Electoral Commission did this week. The Commission will hold a rerun of the parliamentary election in the Kpandai constituency on Tuesday, the 30th of December 2025. Tuesday, the 30th of December 2025. That's the day to watch, which is just some 17 days away from today, just a little over 2 weeks. Well, the New Patriotic Party obviously is not happy about this because that is their member of Parliament, one of the numbers and representations they have in Parliament already. The numbers are dwindling because of Akwatia has gone to the NDC as well, the NDC majority, but 2/3 now. And then now there's Kpandai also coming in. While they contest this particular development, there's a lot that is happening in the constituency. Justin Frimpong Kodia is the General Secretary of the party. He has been in the constituency, at least for the most part of last week as we monitored. He addressed some members of the party in the constituency. Take a look at this.
This is a mla pa de ko kan court wa LPP from Munda. No. Ya chen the court na dey Ebeka. Nyame pengu enko wa ye nisem na no ya fa na empo me si empo si e court na court ne ka sɛ nsɛm dɛdɛdɛ yɛaka nyinaa na ɛni nyina so na ɔmo adi ama ndc a yɛne hwee ka yɛbɛka sɛ mmerɛ wɔ yi yɛni nka so mosi yɛnkɔto aba a yɛbɛkɔ sɛ mo ka sɛ mobu atia yɛ a yɛde yɛnkasa nanso so Kpandai bɛkyerɛ sɛ mmarima wɔ kurom ha mobɛkyerɛ sɛ mmarima wɔ dɛn ɛwɔ kurom ha na mobɛto aba a ebi nsi da momama nkurɔfoɔ ahu sɛ ɛmpo meyɛ ndc ni nanso so ɛkɔ a mode yɛmpi afa so nyɛ papa ɛti ndc foɔ kɔ abɛto aba ma no ndc foɔ ɛde nada bɛba ha sɛ ɛmpo ɛba sɛ kɔto aba no a ɔmɛka sɛ yɛ nea ɛwɔ aban mu sɛ mo pɛmpu tu a monto aba ma yɛ ɔmɛhyɛ da aba ɛde tractors abɛsisia ɔmɛstate akyɛ fertilizers ama nkurɔfoɔ ɔmɛstate ama nkurɔfoɔ sika nanso so monka nkyerɛ mo kurom mafoɔ no sɛ n'ano yɛ kɔto aba wɔ akwatia ɔmo kɔdaadaa nkurɔfoɔ ka kyerɛ mo sɛ moto ma yɛ candidate na yɛbɛyɛ mo kwan ama mo ampa mo di greda kosi kwan no yɛto aba no wie pɛ ɛna ɔmo di greda no nyinaa firi hɔ.
So there's a lot that's happening in that constituency, but this leads us into how the picture looks like in terms of the voting trends in that constituency. NPP, NDC have had their hold on this Kpandai seat, and this is it. Musa Dankwa is Executive Director of Global Info Analytics, joining us on Zoom. Mr. Dankwa, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
It's always great to have you join us. Also joining us in a bit is Dr. Joshua Zato. He's going to take his seat right now. He is a senior lecturer, Political Science Department, University of Ghana, Legon, and also nursing the ambitions of representing the people of Sisala East on the ticket of the NPP. He tried once, but he's not given up as yet. He's smiling right now. He's going to be joining us in a bit. And then also Martin Pebu, also walking in to join us right now. He is a private legal practitioner. Nelson Roxon Dapiamepo is Majority Chief Whip in this 9th Parliament and the Member of Parliament for the South Dai constituency. Kofi Bentel is private legal practitioner and also the Vice President of policy think tank Imani Africa. Gentlemen are going to be taking their seats right now. But this is the picture that the Kpandai seat is presenting to us. We started from 2004 to 2024. Over this 20-year period, there's been 5 elections, right? And take a look at this. And this trend tells a story. In the year 2004, the NDC won this constituency with 41.1% of the valid vote cast, as against the NPP's 25.4%. And I'll show you the nominal figures so you see exactly the gap. But it's been NDC, 2008 NDC, then 2012 NPP won. Even though in that year, the NDC won the presidential in terms of the national. 2016, NPP won. 2020, NDC came back strongly with this same candidate who is in court with Matthew Nyendam. After the party changed their candidate, they won in 2020. But I'm going to show you that right from 2012, the NDC had been closing the gap, as you see, even before they won in 2020, or they took over the seat in 2020. And then in 2024, the NPP came back again with Matthew Nyendam winning that seat, which has now become a matter of contention in the court of law, which has then led to the declaration of the rerun of this parliamentary elections. For the presidential, it's been NDC, even in the years that the NPP won the parliamentary in Kpandai, the NDC has won the presidential. So you see that it's been the candidate that the NDC put up in some of the instances that they lost at the parliamentary, because the presidential, the NDC has been strong over time. And we see it right from the year 2000, even though it's been declining, the least they saw was in 2024, when, in fact, the NPP won the presidential with just a little over 1% in there. You see it systematically over time. The NPP has always come below the NDC when it comes to the presidential elections, from John Ejekum Kufuor to Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. You've seen consistently the NDC always winning. And this is how the picture looks like. But before we get into it, let me acknowledge the presence of Dr. Joshua Jebuchi-Zato. He, as I indicated to us, he was just walking in. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Alfred. Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
How are you doing? Good. Today I have a lot of gray hair, a lot of this thing. So when I do the Sakura, people think that I'm going bald.
So you decided to leave it today.
Yes.
So we'll see that you have hair.
Yeah, exactly. So that if I do Sakura, I get food. Oh, this guy is not bald.
That's all.
Yeah. But something quickly. You know, today we are all in black. Our good friend, Solomon Owusu.
Yes.
He buries the sister today.
True.
And the funeral is today.
Yes.
I wish her God's... Solomon, may the good Lord be with you. And fare thee well, dear sister. After this, I'm going to the funeral, so that's why I was wearing the black.
Absolutely, and in fact, there were quite a number of people who were asking why he's not here this morning.
He's mourning today. He's mourning today.
Yes.
We'll be with him.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Condolences to Solo.
As you can see, yes, literally from here, I'm going to the funeral of Mr. Samuel at Accra, at Bredu. Somebody I've known in the past, you know, very dear to me. So that's why I'm also in black, right? May his soul rest in peace. Yeah, so once again, we want to greet Yasantua, Sofa Ekufu, ex-Chief Justice, for not looking selfish and for not behaving selfishly. That's by coming out against Akufo-Addo when Akufo-Addo was misgoverning. So for Yasantua, her message is that we have to look at Ghana first. It's all about Ghana first, not our personal, economics, the stomach direction politics. The same for Togbe Afede, Togbe Akpekaka. Togbe stood out tall when people didn't want to speak up, but he thought that no, he's been privileged and so he must defend the poor and vulnerable. So he spoke out against Akufo-Addo. The same for Nsi Adeyo, Ajimanbedu II, Domahini, and then of course, Gamanche Kentucky Teku through the second. So once again, we want to remind men above 40 to do their prostate check. If you're above 40, please do the prostate check. We don't want to lose you, okay? It may be too late. And then a reminder on our 52.5 billion. Auditor General, we are waiting for the report. You know what I saw this morning? They've jumped onto the National Service Scheme matter, saying that National Service lost, and even the country lost over 24 billion through a forensic audit. That's the new Auditor General's report they're doing on the National Service Authority. Yes, that's good, but the 52.5 billion that left GCB to go to some unknown sources, bring that one first, because that's been since December 2020.
Right.
So when I heard them talking about this National Service Authority scheme, I was like, you see, Johnson, Ekwuamwesi, Auditor General, is playing politics because there's a new government. Then he's trying to please the new government with this National Service Authority scheme forensic audit. Meanwhile, the 52.5 billion that's been outstanding. You say you can't find it since 2020, and this 2025.
Right, but also not to discount the essence of the national service matter, but you also want that same focus to be on the 52.5 billion. I think that's important that we state that position. Mr. Dankwa, you've already started lacing your boots to go into the Kpandai constituency. I know there's a poll coming up in the next 2 days, correct? Ahead of 30th.
Yes. That is correct. We are already in Kpandai since Thursday. We're looking to finish between today or tomorrow morning.
I see. Now, but already, what are the signals looking like?
Let's go back to the figures that you showed earlier in the Kpandai constituency in terms of margin for winning by the political parties. You could see that in 2000, NDC won the seat by 48 points.
True.
2004, it won it by 15 points. And thereafter, they've shrunk significantly. 2008, they won it by 2%. 2012, MPP won it by plus 6%. And in 2016, MPP won by plus 2%. And in 2020, NDC won by 4%. Now, what we are seeing is no different from what has been happening in the last 3-4 years. I mean, last 2 election cycles. We expect the race to be very, very fierce. And I think the early indication shows that we're not going to be surprised in terms of how closeness it will be.
No surprises as to how close this contest will be. Even in a by-election, even in a rerun, I beg your pardon, even in a rerun of the election.
Absolutely. And I think there's more insight that will come out on Monday that I think will be shocking. But it's going to be very, very close.
Very close. And that narrative of how close it would be follows the trend that we've seen. And stay with me, because then what you just mentioned is what's captured in this slide. In 2000, James Pajal of the NDC won this seat with a margin of some 11,000, and that's what you said, 11,368, as against the NPP candidate who polled just about 1,617, and the NDC candidate who won the seat, that is Kojo Tewia, 13,368. He retained the seat in 2004, retained the seat in 2008. And you see the margins that he won with, Mr. Dankwa, was reducing over time. That's what you reference. Because in 2000, the margin was 11,751. In 2004, it reduced to 4,400. That's the margin of win or victory. Then in 2008, that margin of victory reduced from 11,000 in 2000, 8 years on, 552. 552. So that signaled what was going to come in 2012, is it not? When Matthew Nyendam burst onto the scene and won the seat for the MPP. Taking into consideration what happened in 2008, isn't it?
Yes. And I think the MPP from 2012 has done very well in terms of the numbers. They were able to stand a seat that year, and they retained it in 2016. And 2020, somehow they lost it. And they won back again in 2024, even though the court annulled it. Look, the numbers are pretty tight. Pretty tight.
And even during the year 2012 that Matthew Nyandam won for the first time that seat, 16,371, 2012, as against the NDC candidate, the incumbent. In fact, he defeated the incumbent. That's what Matthew Nyandam did in 2012. 13,794. Matthew Nyandam came in with 16,371. But you could clearly tell, is it not, if you follow what happened in 2008, that the margin for the incumbent who won was just 552. So it was clear that he was losing grips of that constituency in what happened in 2012. But you see, in 2016 as well, Matthew Nyandam retained the seat for the NPP. But the margins closed again, reduced from 2,577 to 766 in 2016. So it signaled as well, he also losing grips of that constituency. So it wasn't surprising what happened in 2020, is it not? When the NDC came back with a different candidate.
No, it wasn't surprising. But what we've seen now is that the MPP candidate is really overperforming his party. And that is a good thing for him at the moment. We don't know whether he will be able to maintain that kind of performance, even though the race is very tight or is tight. If he's able to outperform his party, then we could be in for a shocker this time around.
That's the NPP candidate?
Yes.
That's Matthew Nyendam?
Yes.
It's interesting.
I think he's popular.
Right. And let me, at this moment, welcome Kofi Bento. I mentioned earlier, he was just being made up with powder, by the way. Good morning, Mr. Bento.
Good morning.
He's the Vice President of Money Africa as a private legal practitioner. Kofi Bento, thank you for joining us. It's good to have you. Now, I'll bring you in a bit, but this is how the picture looks like. In 2024, Matthew Nyendam won at least after the election, before it was contested in court, and then this declaration that has led to the rerun. 27,947 as against the NDC, that is Daniel Wakwal. And Daniel Wakwal was incumbent going into election 2024, 24,213, a difference of 3,734. That is the difference between the MPP and the NDC. So the last column you see is the margin of victory for any party who won that constituency in all the years since 2000. And Mr. Dankwa, your verdict is that it's going to be close. It's not really a straight win for any of the two parties. You say, regardless of what's happening, Matthew Nyendam is strong on the ground, but the NDC candidate, being an incumbent as well, has his own influence, is it not? Sorry, we lost Mr. Dankwa. But let me come to you, Dr. Joshua Zato. Listening to Mr. Dankwa and how the trends I've just showed you is pointing to, what does all of this tell you? Before we get into the legal matters, quickly.
Honestly, if you take an objective look just at this board, you can conclude that in the last election, the will of the people was manifested. Because there's a pattern here. Apart from 2000, look at the results carefully. It showed, and it shows that, look, nobody runs away with it like that. People are losing. Look, the guy in 2004 won with 4,455 to lose almost 4,000 votes in the next elections, to 552. And then you have Nyendam winning by 2,500 votes to lose in the next election, to lose almost 2,000 votes in the next election. So if you just look at the back and forth of it, just on the surface of it, it will tell you that there's nothing surprising here. Nothing surprising to anything, that it was the will of the people. And I'm just looking at, because it's not strange, it's not outrageous to see the figures, and they kind of follow a pattern of candidates winning, and these people are very shrewd voters. If you want to look at the people of Kpandai, when you look at these results, they look at the candidates and they vote on the candidates' merits or demerits. And they are not shy to throw out a candidate. They are not shy to reward a candidate. And as I said, Matthew Nyendam here seems to be a very likable and popular guy. He is outperforming his party. Look, if you look at the other figure you showed me, he has done far better than the NPP, completely.
Well, you have a point there, because then that's what Mr. Dankwa was saying.
Yes.
That even in the years that the NDC, and we have this, the NDC for the presidential, they've won.
Yes, just run the whole
Even
board.
in the years that the NPP won the parliamentary.
They've just run the board.
The NDC has always
just run the board.
2024.
But you see, even that, look at 2024. That's what I'm saying, that if you just look at the figures of this one, it looks like the will of the people was done in both the parliamentary and presidential. Look at how close the 2024 is, even for the presidential. Look, the president did not run away with it like he's done all the other times. If you just look at it, 49.7 and 48.7. Basically, 1 percentage point, if that is so, separates them. That means that even then, Yes.
And then you look at this.
That's the 20. So what you showed me was this
so
parliament. I'm
it's the
saying,
same.
look
This
at
is parliamentary.
Yes. So you look
This
at the
is
presidential. Good.
presidential.
Live here. Look.
Yes.
So you see, in 20, just look at the map. Even though it's going to be still, the president has always been in for the NDC. The presidential, they've always been above 50. From as high as 67, let me say 68, to 54 in 2020. But look at what happened in 2024. It shrunk completely, almost 1 percentage point. You see that? So that tells you something, that the people that came out here, the change wave that spread through the country, did not actually do a lot here. So that the president fell from 55 in 2020 to almost 50. So it means even His Excellency lost almost 5 percentage points in 2024. So if you look, meanwhile, the NDC, so and means that the MPP candidate gained in almost 4 percentage points in 2024. So if you look at how close that is, then you can understand that a popular parliamentary candidate, you wouldn't be surprised at the results that he got. So that's what I'm saying. If you just look at the figures on the raw figure, it means you can then say that the will of the people was shown just by looking at that. Because it shows that the president lost almost 4 percentage points.
There's that close.
There's that closeness, yes.
Of 50, just about 50% to 40.
It's just about 1 percentage point. That means the president lost about 5 percentage points, and the MPP presidential candidate picked up almost 4 percentage points. And then if you now look, and that also helped in this particular figure that the MPP candidate then got, because he also gained. So it means most of the people that voted for the presidential candidate of the MPP also voted for him, and then he added his own popularity. So the figures actually show. No, I'm talking about the 2024 one. Yes. It actually showed. You can see that a strong correlation between how his presidential candidate performed and how he performed. He had performed his presidential candidate, but the presidential candidate gained 4 percentage points, and he seems to have gained, if you showed me the percentages, he seems to have also gained another 6.
Sorry. You go ahead.
He seems to have gained the points that the presidential candidate gained. He also gained them and did better. So for me, just looking at the statistics, looking at the figure, look at the rotten, it looks like the will of the people of Kpandai was done in these elections.
Well, December 30 is a date to watch. Yeah. Council, people, I beg your pardon, on this and what we have seen so far, hearing from, I'll go back to Musa Dankwa, but looking at what has played out over the period, and we trace from 2000 because it tells a story. Yes. It gives a certain picture of how the constituency itself has voted over time. And how the two parties have held on to the constituency. The largest margin of victory we saw was actually in the year 2000, with the NDC candidate as well. That's one very instructive development in there. But you see it dwindle over time, and the same with the MPP as well, from 2012 down to 2024.
Yeah, so good. The win, as you will find there, that's 3,000, let's just call it 3,700 votes, right? These are mostly what have been wiped out through the court order. That's the court ruling that, look, what happened is illegal, so they should go for a rerun. So, based on it, you see, we're going for a rerun because laws were broken. So it should tell you that there may be, it was due to shenanigans. In actual fact, that's what the court has held. That's what the court has held. These votes that Nyendam got, etc., you attribute to voter fraud, etc. So once there is voter fraud, etc., it's difficult to say that he should win again. Because that's the reason. The reason is that, look, things didn't go well. Laws were broken in order to help Nyendam win. And so, since we're a country of laws, there should be a rerun. So I'm not able to rely on the 3,734 votes that he got to win as basis to say that he will automatically win. No, at all. If he could win fair and square, he should have done so. But clearly, from the court orders, laws were broken. So how are we going to analyze for somebody who has broken the laws as certified by the court. It's a democracy. We trust our courts to do a good job. As it stands now, it's the court that's speaking. You see, so far, I haven't even heard the MPP fight about the judges' findings that laws were broken. Their cry is that the complaint that the petition was about 41 polling stations. Why did the judge extend to the whole constituency? Well, when we get the full judgment, we will dissect that. But at least, so far from the judgment, laws were broken. And so, let's not analyze with broken laws. Illegality, how are you going to use illegality to analyze that a man can win, right? And then secondly, the second major point we should be looking at is that, you know, when it comes to reruns, now that it's clear that the NDC has a majority, one of the things that, one of the messages they will use is that, look, if you voted for an NDC candidate, his chances of being able to lobby for development, etc., would be higher. And, you know, all politics is supposed to be what? Local. It's about how the MP will bring about change. Yes, we know that MPs are not generally, under our current architecture, responsible for development, etc., right, in the constituency. But in practice, that is what they use to woo voters. They promise that, look, I am close to the president, this is my party, so my chances of being able to woo the government to be able to bring more development here are far higher than an opposition candidate. So let's wait and see. Like we say, agroni from, so December 30th will come and then we'll see how it pans out.
Thank you very much. And Kofi on this. But Mr. Dankwa, you stated that the NDP candidate is popular, but you didn't touch on the NDC candidate as well. Just a quick one on that, and then I'll come to you, Mr. Bento.
You know, I said that because if you look at the performance of the president or how people approve his performance in the constituency, he's in above 60%. But his candidate is nowhere near that number. That tells you that the opposition candidate is very, very strong and popular.
I see. That is the constituency we are showing you right now, Kpandai, and what's happening there on the screen. It's quiet, but there's a lot of activity politically. Mr. Bento.
Yeah. There is a lot to unpack on this Kpandai issue. As for the numbers, honestly, the better graphic is the chart. It will tell you something. The NDC used to be very popular in Kpandai. Over time, the NDC has been losing popularity. All right? You see that? If you look at the previous one.
Yes.
And the MPP has been gaining. It's even clear here, yeah, but this shows you clearly.
Sorry.
Yeah, this shows you clearly. The green, which is NDC, they've been going down. And then the blue, which is MPP, has been going up.
Yes.
So you can see over time, NDC is losing popularity, NPP is gaining popularity. If you look everywhere else, you see this kind of trend. That is one. The other thing you should know is that Kpandai is nobody's stronghold.
True.
It's nobody's stronghold. In fact, if we are going to talk about strongholds, then Yindam is getting stronger. All right, but I can say it's nobody's stronghold. That said, the power of incumbency will come to play in this by-election. All right. Question, why do we have a by-election? In an election, the people who vote are important, but the people who count are more important. Again, I say, this is because of the failings of our electoral commission. Yes, people who are going into an election will try and win fair or foul. The reason for an electoral commission is to prevent that. You have a situation where the fact that came into court showed clearly that people voted. In the counting, in the collation, in the management of the election process, we had a problem. This happens too often. And you have a situation where the Electoral Commission doesn't have a reason, they don't have an excuse for some of these things that happen. And for me, which is why we have been having issues at Imani with the Electoral Commission, and we are going through the processes to try and have them sorted out properly. But this is unnecessary. And if we had a more diligent electoral commission, we would have avoided this. Now, let me also explain why it's sad. I have no doubt that Yindam won.
You have no doubt?
I have no doubt that Yindam won.
I see.
Okay? But like Martin said, a court looks at everything and decides that because of the way the election was conducted, they should go back and vote again. And now, the will of the people can be overturned simply because the dynamics have changed and you have an NDC government. And people who are looking for development, whatever it is, are going to think and say, what can Yindam do with regards to the president? Okay. On the other hand, what can the MPP person do with regards to that president? And clearly, it will shift things on behalf of the NDC. The question is it fair? Look, again, so I've spoken about the problems at the EC. Again, we have a situation in Parliament today. Okay, in Parliament today.
Right, please.
We are hearing all the fighting going on, and it's sad that we have that situation because it should have been clear. Look, the same principles regarding the removal of CJ Tokono are playing again. You have a situation where a matter is in court. It has not been properly, completely, finally adjudicated.
We'll get into the legal aspect of things.
Right.
We will. It's a big part of the conversation.
Right, yeah, it is.
But you say that, there's always been that reference to the declaration of the court about elections being won at the polling station. Whether fair or foul. If the interpretation of that particular statement made by the judges is anything to go by, then it should not be interpreted to relegate the integrity of the process, because then if elections are won or lost at the polling station, regardless of how you win, you must win. It has nothing to do with the integrity of it. You have to win because it's won at the polling station.
The premise is wrong, and I've never accepted that elections are won at the polling station. All right? And I started with a saying that in an election, it is not so much the people who vote that matter, it's the people who count that matter. An election is done under law. From the first presidential petition, all right, I made that point, and I made it in several arguments, that elections are not won at the polling station.
Are not won or lost at the polling station?
No. You can have a voting at the polling station and win by 10,000 vote margin. When that vote margin is put under scrutiny of law, and it shows that the 10,000 people who voted for you were not eligible to vote, you didn't win. Elections are won after a final judicial declaration of who the proper lawful winner is. And that's extremely important because we carry on with this business of elections are won at the polling station. And I remember saying that, look, that kind of mentality causes violence. People should stop it. Elections are not won at polling stations. You can win by 10,000. And it turns out that all the 10,000 people were minus. Okay?
Absolutely.
By force, you can think you have won on numbers. When it is put before legal scrutiny and a final judicial pronouncement is made on it, then you have won. So elections are not won at the polling station. Elections are won by assessing the validity of the votes.
The credibility of the outcome.
The credibility of the process. The validity of the votes. So please, I repeat, and I said this at the first presidential petition, our elections are subject to judicial pronouncement and adjudication. And when we get to the issues about the law, look, in a country of laws, in a constitutional republic, okay, if you want to respect this rule of law thing, we better get to grips with it and stop this business of elections are won at the polling station. It is they who count, and they who count, it's about how they count. That is how it is. And that's what is playing out here. Yindam won, wide margin. If elections were won at the polling station, Yindam won at the polling station. But somebody says that no, when you look deeper and subject it to legal scrutiny, Yindam didn't win. So how do you tell me that they are won at the polling station? Elections are won or lost after a final judicial pronouncement is made on the process and the outcome.
And you have the various players in the election not contesting the outcome if the outcome is with integrity.
Not
and
contesting.
the process is with some integrity.
No, it's not about not contesting. they have a right to contest. It is after the contest has been adjudicated and determined. So it is proper for you to contest.
Yes.
But it is after it is adjudicated and determined that you know whether you won or lost, which is where I was going to.
Yes.
The point about what is going on in Parliament and the fact
absolutely.
that all these things, boil down to law.
It's a fundamental point you made, because you see, then when this happened, and that's why I brought in that refrain we always would hear. Politicians reference that elections are won or lost at the polling station.
Yes.
That is it the declaration or that statement by the judge that is wrong, or the interpretation and application within a particular context that is wrong?
So, a judge has judicial power to make a declaration. But judges don't just make declarations. They look at the facts of the matter, and then they look at the law. And then when they put the facts and the law together, they make a declaration, and that is what is final. So you have 10,000 votes. One person got 7,000. The other person got 3,000. Those are the facts. The judges take the facts, and then they look at the law. So the person who got 7,000, it can be proven under scrutiny in a court that 3,000 of those votes were not eligible. When the judge applies the law, that person who got 7,000 will lose 3,000 and end up with 4,000. What it means is that the 10,000 people who voted, only 7,000 or so were valid voters, and he got less. So he loses, regardless of the fact that on paper at the polling station, he seemed to have had more. Now, it is for them to contest, and it's for the judge to make a final pronouncement based on the laws of the land. This thing is something we all must understand. Now, if somebody doesn't have, or doesn't agree with that kind of arrangement, it is for them to have their lawyers together and then challenge it all the way to the Supreme Court and let that process be gone through. Because we all know, as lawyers, there are cases that are lost at the Circuit Court, at the High Court, at the Appeals Court, and overturned at the Supreme Court. And that is proper, because human beings game things. People are naturally like that. First for your own self-defense, and next for your advantage.
Absolutely.
If there is a loophole there, they will do everything, especially in politics, all right, to come out tops by fair or foul means. That's why courts exist. So again, that saying that elections are won at the polling station is flawed. Elections are won after a final judicial pronouncement is made about the results.
It's an instructive point that you make there. And Lamatik Bebo, I'll come to you on this same path. And that position, in fact, that point that Kofi Bento makes about where the final authentic declaration of an election is made. It's not at the polling station. It is after it has been certified by law. That goes contrary to what has been accepted widely by the political class about the outcome of the elections at the polling stations. That has to change, at least based on what Lawyer Kofi Bento has indicated. There has to be a shift in mindset and focus from that particular statement. Yes.
Yeah. You see, it's about effective communication. Effectively, and also you're looking at norms of plausibility. Saying that the elections are won at the polling station, it has a certain meaning. It's because most of the time. So yes, I agree with there's a Kofi that it's when the election authorities finally certify. But most of the time, so look at the 2024 elections, how many of them have ended up in court? They are far fewer. So most of the time for effective communication and also effective planning, it means that, and that statement, elections are won at the polling station, is actually meant for it to be vigilant. That's the context in which Afarijan used to use it. That's so, go there, be vigilant, make sure your vote is counted. If not, if you allow the, your opponents to go and count, even though you believe on the ground you had more numbers, etc., there's no way he can help you. So in context, every time Afarijan says that, look, elections are won at the polling station, and then also some governance experts come in, the meaning was really about vigilance, vigilance, vigilance. so that you can't go to court on an empty plate, right? If your petition doesn't have evidence, you can't win. So make sure that you vote and make sure that your votes are counted right there in a manner that would ensure that the will of the people is respected. So that's been the context in which I've understood it. So it's the English language is dynamic. One term or one phrase, different meanings depending on the context. So, they all can coexist.
That's why I asked the question about the interpretation and application of it in a particular context. Is it that is a misunderstanding of, or the convenient interpretation of it to fit a particular context so that a particular outcome in meaning will be achieved? But then that's when I
think we are better off understanding that elections are not won per se at the polling station. Let me explain why. Look,
yes.
If we are going to be law-abiding properly, when you finish voting, you should be able to go home. I hear Martin when he says you should be vigilant. Vigilance assumes that, one, the other party is going to cheat. That's one. Two, it assumes that the Electoral Commission is incompetent. All right? And if we are going to be law-abiding, as in the other party is not going to cheat, which I don't think I'm going to put any money on, because I know the nature of politicians and human nature is like that. But if the Electoral Commission will be competent, it should be possible for you to vote and go home and for the results to be properly declared and be valid. And we have said over and over again that...
if, in a way.
Of course, if. We've said over and over again that, look, some of these problems, if you look at the Electoral Commission and the kind of resources they have, it doesn't make sense that we have these problems. And we've asked many times why we can't apply a bit more, just even technology. For instance, you count at the polling station, okay, immediately you send that information. Your mobile phone can do that. And the Electoral Commission spends $100 million per election. What do they use it for? We've talked about the kind of equipment they buy and some of the things that they do. So I hear when people say it's one at the polling station, you must be vigilant. I say that is what leads to violence. We must get to the point. And I may be sounding utopian or whatever it is, but I'm telling you, that's what we have to work towards. We should get to the point where we are using our national ID cards to vote. Why? Because that will tell you whether you are 18 years or not. You put it in the machine, it can tell you. Because when that thing was done, it was not done for election purposes, for you to go and change your age. And if you change your age, it will affect you in other places. It's called agnostic systems. Okay. We have the technology today to do that. Just procuring machines, you go there, it will say, you are so and so, you are from here, it can let you vote. And the collation can be done electronically and sent electronically from the polling station. There are things that we can do to make it less necessary for political party operatives to mount vigilance by themselves. Because there are two opposing parties. True. This person mounts vigilance, the other person mounts vigilance. What you are calling somebody's vigilance is somebody's aggression. And we have seen in this name of vigilance, people firing guns. We have seen people stealing ballot boxes in the name of vigilance. It's lawlessness clothed in English. We should get to the point where our Electoral Commission is competent enough. How big is Ghana? And how large are these polling stations? Why is it that simple things beat us and we end up spending so much money and going through so much stress? Okay? So if you ask me, we should move to the point where vigilance becomes increasingly unnecessary. So I still insist, elections are not won at the polling station. Voting happens at the polling station. The process must be properly gone through. The EC officials are officials of law. They work under law. Even the person who makes the declaration matters. All right? True. And they have to do things properly. We've gone through the election
We saw
petitions.
it even in Tema Central.
Yes.
Also, who made the declaration and whether the person was competent
Yes.
enough in law
Yes,
to
in
do
law. And that is fundamental. It matters. We've gone through election petitions. We've seen pink sheets and how they were treated. All kinds of things happen. I myself, with my senior Akoto Ampao, okay, had to go to court to force the Electoral Commission to treat pink sheets according to law. Otherwise, we'll still be in trouble. All right? It shouldn't be necessary. It shouldn't be necessary. And the pressure should be on the Electoral Commission because they lack no resource. And this is not a difficult business that it defies doing, okay? Even with reasonable facilities and, capability. So I don't see why we have to have these fights and people come into parliament and then later on they spend a year in court. Look, in the case of Rebecca Adote some years back, by the time the decision was made, the whole period was over.
Yes.
Okay. And so you deny the people their representation for all the 4 years. We just went through SAL. What is the problem with SAL? The Electoral Commission. Okay. So see, we have put so much in the hands of that institution and clearly they are not up to scratch. We should focus on that and then we avoid these things.
The truth, which is uncontestable from Kofi's analysis, Mr. Bento's analysis, is what we are seeing playing out right now. Dr. Joshua Datu,
yes,
in the Kpandai constituency.
Thank you. Both gentlemen are right. Elections are won at the polling station. It's more of a political statement and not a legal principle. It's the idea, it's a political statement. It's simple saying that, look, it's not even a utopian idea that, look, it's the results people vote at the polling stations. That is their first contact with the voting. And as I said, there's somebody who is in the market, votes and goes back to his market. He goes back to his farm. He goes back to his normal life. So since it's the first entry of the voting process, it then means that is where the elections, that is where it really matters as to who does that. So as a political principle, it is then your duty to make sure that, one, elections are won at the polling also means that it's your duty to make sure your people show up to vote. It's your duty to make sure your people show up not only to vote, but to also vote well. It's your duty to make sure that your people go out there in their good numbers and they are more than other people. And so, as a political statement, it matters because if your people don't show up to vote, if your people don't show up to vote well, if your people don't show up and do the right thing, then no matter what happens, you're going to lose the elections at the polling stations. So the polling station then becomes the rallying point and the main ground of the elections, because that is where you vote. There's something that used to happen around 1992, 96. Some of us were kids are going there. It was the phenomenon of the snatching of ballot boxes. Those times, that was where the whole idea of this macho men came inside. When we used to move ballot boxes to places to go and count. People were snatching ballots. So the emphasis then was on ballot boxes. That is why you saw that from 92 to 96, in other words, this country, through IPAC and others, we invested to improve the ballot box processes. So the whole idea of making them transparent and the whole process of counting them at the center was to try to demystify this thing about the ballot box and also to discourage the snatching of ballot boxes. So, I mean, if the results are already counted and declared, they use snatching the ballot boxes of no consequence. That was the whole idea, to disincentivize, again, hooligans from snatching ballot boxes. That was the idea, the central idea there.
I see.
Now, my point is that the emphasis has now, so over the years, we've done a lot as a country at the polling stations. What we have so far not done, or what the new trend that is now coming is at the coalition centers. People have now realized that if you snatch a ballot box, it's useless to snatch a ballot box because the other candidate has it. And usually, if you realize, by the time you are going to the coalition centers, losing candidates know, winning candidates know. Everybody has, and you can use very rudimentary, like he's saying, technology to collate your results. So that by the time that all the results are coming, sometimes if you live in a place like Sisala East, which is just by distance, by how big it is, one of the largest constituencies in the country. By the time somebody leaves Santijan and is carrying a ballot box to Tumu, it depends upon it may cost 30 minutes, 1 hour to come. But that time, the coalition, they've already got the results. So what people have now started to do to give this is to attack coalition centers. Coalition centers have now become the most vulnerable link in our electoral processes. And we are here today because of events like that. My point is that unless or until, and the coalition centers, yes, it has a technology, but it has security issues. We should be able to have coalition centers that if we say these people are not supposed to be there, they shouldn't be there. If we say that these people have no right to be there, they shouldn't be there. We should do that. But quickly, I wanted to go back to the map on some.
Because we stayed a bit on this matter of whether elections are won or lost at the polling station. Mr. Kofi Bento has done justice to that particular issue. And this is where I welcome Nelson Roxon Dapiamepo, is the majority chief whip in this 9th Parliament, in the Member of Parliament for the South Dike constituency. He's a private legal practitioner in good standing. Good morning. Welcome.
Thank you. And good morning to my Senior.
Thank you.
And my junior.
Good.
And my friend. In fact, my genius. And my friend, Dr. Zato.
Oh no, is it the fertilizer to Utawa? You know, come here. It has not
The
come.
fertilizer
It has not come. The sister is a fertilizer.
I'm told that fertilizers have been supplied. You haven't gone to see your DC. Are you fighting your DC?
No. Oh, he said
So
go
what
and
is
see.
it?
So the free fertilizer is there.
That's my
I tell you, thank you, Jerry.
Cadet, my DC, my MC is Cadet. We call him Cadet.
Yeah.
Cadet, what's my fertilizer? I'm just
when
telling
I
you.
left here that day, I called Eric Opoku. I said, Minister, you heard Dr. Zato. Zato says, no. Zato has refused to go and see. Zato is dealing with his party people. He's not dealing with the MC.
Okay, so Cadet, I'm coming to you. I'm coming to the MC for my fertilizer.
For this, let me also acknowledge the presence of Justice Abdullahi. He is also a private legal practitioner. He is a lecturer at the UPSA Law Faculty. And those who are studying law would reference his cases every now and then.
We don't study law, we read law.
We read law.
We
Justice
read
Abdullahi,
law.
thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. You see, because it keeps changing, it's mutating. Every day, new things come up. You're always reading.
Alfred. I think
You know who said that to us? Kumado.
Let me hear him. Let me hear him.
Roxanne will never finish.
Professor Kumado said, you people, you are like, you roam around like social scientists.
Thank you.
In law, we read law, we don't study law.
Please.
So, as I was saying, I think I haven't been in the studio for about 3 years.
3 years, that's true.
Yeah. I haven't been here for the last 2 years. I think my last time, I'm not sure. Was either Abna or Chifa.
Right.
Wow.
Indeed.
So it's good to be here.
It's good to be here, indeed.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
And I know Martin has been holding the fort.
We'll have a good conversation indeed. Thank you for coming
For
through.
the record, Kofi is my colleague. So
Perfect.
So I'm surrounded by lawyers.
Yes.
I'm the only political analyst sitting here. Okay. So surrounded by in the sea of lawyers. Okay.
Thank you very much. Mr. Dankwa, now, and I come back to you because of the work you started doing already on the ground ahead of December 30 and the polls and how things are looking like. We put this picture of what's been happening in the constituency on the screen to give us a clear indication of how things have played out over time. If you look at the margin for the NPP in 2024, that which has been contested now, Lawyer Kofi Bentil made the point earlier about the incumbency advantage, right? Because now the dynamics have changed. In that election, at least before the declaration in Kpandai, we didn't know who was going to be president. So that may have also influenced, and the NPP was incumbent in that particular election. Do you already see the signals of the incumbency advantage playing out for the NDC? Quick one.
All right, Alfred, thank you very much. Let me just sneak 2 data out of Kpandai this morning, just to buttress the point I'm going to make. About 62% of Kpandai voters believe the country is headed in the right direction.
62%?
Yes, compared to 29%. When you ask them about the performance of the president, about 61% approve of the way he's doing his job, and 30% don't approve. Now, this is what Mr. Bentil called incumbency advantage. If this is to replicate on the ground on election day, the MPP could be disadvantaged. But at the moment, the MPP looks very competitive, not very close race. But we don't know yet whether these 2 data would influence the eventual outcome. But by 2 weeks' time, I think we'll be there to find out.
So, the 2 very important data points you referenced today ahead of the release of your poll on Monday, correct? Is that
yes,
the 2 questions of where the country's direction,
yes,
as we speak, is favoring the NDC. That is over 60% for the president. But then again, that's not surprising because if you look at the trends presidential, the NDC has always won this constituency. Even in 2024, they won, actually, with just about 1%, right? So if I'm going by the trends of how the NDC has dominated presidential in this constituency, that data point will not be too far away from truth based on the trends.
Yes, and probably it could mean that NDC could do better in the presidential in Kpandai if there was a rerun today, based on these numbers. But you know, when it comes to parliamentary elections, the individuals are very, very crucial in this. But again, I mean, looking at where we are as a country and the numbers in parliament and developmental issues facing the people, this will be the biggest challenge that could affect the MPP candidate as he goes into the election.
Some few minutes on the lawyer Dafiampo, on this, because you're majority chief whip, concerned about how things are playing out in Parliament, your numbers and representation as well. You had cause to speak about this when the Electoral Commission had not come out as yet to make a determination because of the clerk to Parliament's notification. Eventually, that was done. But this is the picture of the Kpandai constituency. It's nobody's win, easy.
Yeah,
He says
the
MPP is so strong on the ground.
It's a 4-3 as we speak. And we seek to make it a 5-3.
You want to win.
If you recall the events of the morning of 7th January 2025, I was one of the people who told Senior Nyindam that you are on secondment, you are on probation. If I use the phrase, Senior Nyindam, you are on probation, because we raised the issue that we were contesting the results in court. You know, himself and my late brother for Akwetia, you know, and Skumi, and Ernest and I. No, we are young, we are vibrant, we jive. But we wanted him out because of the pepper they showed us in Jachikwesi. But they told us that they were willing to face the consequences. So they should be sworn in. If you recall, we took issues with Jetro. Because Jetro was then, the clerk to Parliament was then standing orders. He would swear in the MPs. Then the MPs will now have the locals to now vote for a speaker. Because we didn't have a speaker at the time. So we raised the issues. And Nyindam told me, I'm senior to you in this house. Whatever you say, me, I'm strong to face the consequences. I said, for now you are on probation. And we laughed about it. Then we sat quietly and went about our court matters. We were not fanciful, we were very methodical. So after about 11 months, the court made a pronouncement, not in our favor. We were looking for a decision in our favor. It didn't happen. It was a neutral decision based on issue 1 that we set for determination. If you look at the issues set for determination, our issue 1 was whether or not the infractions in the 41 constituencies were such that they affected the outcome of the elections in the 152 polling stations. And the judge agreed that, yes, they were so material that it contaminated the sanctity of the outcome. So, Electoral Commission had been directed to go, and this is the order of the court, properly drawn out. It says, upon hearing both petitioner and respondent's lawyers, blah, 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 it is hereby ordered that the petition of petitioner is upheld. And this court orders a rerun of the Kpandai constituency parliamentary election in 30 days. Second respondent to comply with the order.
That is the Electoral Commission.
That's the Electoral Commission. And you know, being a diligent lawyers, we took steps to get the order drawn out and serve on Parliament. Originally, Parliament was part of the suit. Parliament and the district director of the Electoral Commission, but later they got non-suited. And so we proceeded against Nyindam himself as first respondent, and then the Electoral Commission as the second respondent. But ex abundante cautela. So we serve Parliament.
So what does that mean? What you just said?
For want of abundance of caution.
You have to communicate in plain language.
Oh,
it's a plain language movement
people,
that is going on.
Sometimes you must communicate to the technical people to like.
But you are communicating to the masses,
communicate to them.
not the learned colleagues of yours.
You are now in the law, so you need to. You haven't told the people that you are now a student in the law. So you need to be using the jargon so that they know. People appreciate you when you are in the law. Yes.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Zato, you yourself, you must go to law school.
I would.
You must. Otherwise, you are not learning.
Stay on course. Stay on course. Please, go.
No, that's by the by. So we took precaution to serve Parliament that these were the events happening in one of the high courts, and the outcome is that a seat in Parliament has fallen. And he got Speaker to pronounce. On the 25th, when I raised the matter, 25th, 27th, when they decided that Nyindam should make a statement, should comment on the principles of the budget. So I said, no. Nyindam no longer has locus.
Right.
We've tolerated him for 10 plus months. But as we speak, he's been denounced by a high court of this republic. And that is the High Court Tamale Commercial Division. That the ex nihilo fits. Because you see, you can't put something on nothing and expect it to stand. The pronouncement that brought him to Parliament, which I questioned from day one, has now been determined. So he no longer has the locus. He has no locus standi on the floor. They wanted to chew my head off. But eventually the Speaker said yes. Per the terms of the order, it meant that Article 97 has been sprung back to life. There's a vacancy. But you to avert your mind to CI 19, Court of Appeal rules, I believe 20 or so as amended by CI, I think 119, 2020. Where it's been amended that there's automatic 7-day stay. So the automaticity of the stay is such that you can't ask Nyindam to leave the floor today. But after expiration of 7 days, which expires on the 1st of December, he no longer would. Because Speaker was very clear. The Speaker threw in a punch and said, if he files a further process, that may mean that Parliament's hands may be stayed. He uses the word phrase may.
Yes.
Now, the may means if those are brought to his attention, then they may have to come to a decision to further stay their hands. But the may means that you have to persuade him.
I see.
Yes. So those persuasions didn't happen. So
what do you mean by you have to persuade
if the man says, if the man files further processes, but it is right, and Bentel is here, very learned in the law, learned before. So his study of the law was reading of the law was an icing on the cake, because he's been reading our constitution long before he went back to law school too, for shege reasons. As for him, he studied law for shege reasons.
I see.
Yes, that's for you.
You see, throwing punches.
Left, right, center. Punches. As for Zato, today I'll kill you.
Thank you.
So Kofi knows that it's right. Look, 5 years ago, I made the similar arguments on behalf of the Achikwesi. But not on the floor, but in the foyer that we have filed a notice, we filed a stay. They say I was espousing bad law. And this came from Chey, the majority leader, who isn't a lawyer. They briefed him, they prepared a brief for him. Chey finished me on the floor and said, you lawyer of some long standing, you are espousing this law. I have been properly advised that your law is bad. I know he was the majority leader at the time. He finished me. So Kwesi never got to stay in Parliament with an interim order, not an order determined by the Court on the merits of the case. So I came to the point and said, well, I was hoping that having filed a notice of appeal and a stay application or notice for stay, it was sufficient. Oh, no. You say my law was weak. I was espousing law weak, jurisprudence, blah, 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 blah. So Judge Kwesi, he lost his standing in parliament, he lost his salary, he lost his entry to his office. Anytime Judge Kwesi came to parliament, he had to come to me or went to the majority whip at the time, the Honorable Abuja. So now I want to espouse the position of the majority, now minority. They say, hey, no. The law has changed. I say, who changed the law? Because it's a mere filing of an application for stay of execution does not amount to a stay. This is the authority in Ghana Hotels Association versus Pick Plus.
A mere filing of the application.
A mere filing
does not amount to a stay.
And you know, in the 1997 Court of Appeal route, I think CI 19, there's some leeway. But they came to tighten it with an amendment in 2020. Zato and his party. Not me, Zato and his party. They say a filing of a notice that is a notice of an appeal, all right, cannot operate as, shall not, in fact, they use the phrase, shall not. And I'll put those Court of Appeal rules. Shall not.
No lawyer contests that.
Yes.
Move on.
Good. So when my brothers say that, when they came to Parliament on Tuesday and stampeded the processes and said, because they have filed a notice of appeal and filed an application or notice for stay of execution, none of that had any force of law. The only order that has a force of law is the order emanating from the Court of Appeal. And then when they finish exhausting all the processes they were entitled to file at the Court of First Instance, which is the High Court, and then filing the notice of appeal at the High Court, but of course at the Court of Appeal, they now proceeded to the Supreme Court with certiorari. So they are now forum shopping. Because if you believe in the merits of your case, you won't do this. You won't say that you are going on appeal against a decision of the High Court, and then you will be seeking before the Supreme Court an application to have that decision struck down.
That appeal is going to be held on the 18th.
Yeah.
But
No.
This is certiorari you're talking about.
No, that's certiorari. So it's not an appeal.
These are the reliefs.
No. The
18th is the stay of execution.
Certiorari is a judicial review application.
This is it. This is what they are seeking.
Yes. So the one before the Supreme Court is markedly different from the appellate processes that they are entitled to and have triggered. So let me give you the genesis. So they have filed 2 notices of appeal.
Okay.
2 applications of notice for stay of execution filed by Lawyer San, the original lawyer, and with a change of notice of solicitor filed by Gary Demaku. So it's been adjourned to the 18th. But before that could be heard, they are before the Supreme Court for a certiorari. Now, before this could be determined, they are in Parliament singing Aluta songs. Today, the MPP is singing revolutionary songs. Zato, are you aware?
I see.
That today you are taking the path of the PNDC that you vilified.
Well, their stance is this, and this is what he referenced. I'm going to show you what happened in Parliament within the week. That chaos that disrupted the business of the House.
No, but let me finish.
Because no.
No.
I'll let you finish.
But
I'll come to you because you see, this has attracted the condemnation of Mr. Bento and all the others here. Let's take it.
No. Okansi, let me finish.
I'll let you finish.
Honourable members, Right Honourable Speaker should take the chair.
power in this chamber. Defense and interior. Just the motion number 30. Read it. I so move. Thank you. As if it was wet. Mr. Speaker, I urge the House to
science and technology on the allocation of the sum of 1,349,588,593 for the services of the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology for the year ending 31st December 2036. In doing so, Mr. Speaker,
by the gentlemen, gentlemen, no, I'm talking about what's happened, gentlemen. Okay.
Yeah, that was
okay.
Can we see that video?
Me and by Sam George and Susu.
I am referencing what happened this week, right? With this, and that's what you, Kofi Bento, you condemned over the week about how chaotic Parliament is becoming. I mean, just a brief one on that, and then I'll just.
So
you got into the legal matters already. Yes.
If you look across the world,
yes, you finish. You finish.
It's just this. If you finish.
You finish.
Take 30 minutes.
You'll finish.
To do a 5 minutes argument.
You'll finish.
We are talking about the conduct in Parliament. Okay. Look, sometimes I think when you are in
Parliament, I brought the code of conduct.
I'm speaking from the point of view of a citizen.
Okay.
When you are in Parliament, sometimes I think, or it seems to me, that you forget that you have TV cameras on you. No, wait. Let me make my point. That's one.
Yes.
Now, and then let me say, generally speaking, I've watched footage from Japanese parliament and other parliaments in the world. People were throwing shoes. So it seems that where you have people debating, things can easily degenerate.
Testosterone.
Then, speaking from the point of view of a citizen, look, Ghana has a very, very, very good reputation in West Africa and across the world. When these things happen, we get calls from around the world. What is happening? You know, and for Roxanne and Co, maybe they are having fun. I mean, you look at some of the people there, they seem to have been smiling through it all. But trust me, it is traumatic for some people. All right? And then the point I want to make is, where you have debates and it's this spirited, and you have situations where, like I said, in places like Japan and other places, you see people throw shoes and throw punches. When you get into situations like this, you put yourself in danger of it degenerating very quickly. Somebody could have hit somebody in this situation. This thing could have gone in all kinds of places, and then you'd have dissolved or devolved or just, degenerated into a fisticuff. And please, you represent us. And I find it sometimes difficult, almost offensive, that I have to explain for what Roxanne is doing in Parliament and for what people are, doing there. You represent us. So keep it in mind. Roxanne, keep it in mind. When you are in Parliament, there are TV cameras on you. What you do there does not remain there. Okay? People start calling, and what is going on in Ghana? And you'll be surprised
like
that
a stadium.
we have friends. Let me finish. I have friends in the diaspora who listen to Ghana news more than the news of the countries they live in.
Sure.
And they are sometimes things I don't know about. They will call and they'll be telling you this, and because they listen to every radio station, and then they watch YouTube. So Roxanne, please, you and your colleagues, keep in mind that you represent all of us. And with that in mind, be a bit circumspect in the kind of scenarios and spectacles that you create.
Justice Abdullah, on this, please. Quick.
Right. I don't think a word of caution from Kofi is bad. I think to be self-aware is important, particularly when at that high level you represent the entire country, whether within or out. You still remain a member of parliament, and that's an office that you cannot disrespect. It's a very good office, and it should reflect, the kind of things you do. However, I disagree on the point where the heated debate and the resultant effect, as we saw, should be condemned. That much I disagree. I think it is healthy.
What do you mean? What we just saw is healthy?
I think it is healthy for us.
What's the health of that?
I have never condemned any of these conducts. Right from the last time we saw a similar incident with the it was the swearing. Yeah, no. It was the swearing in of members of parliament. That's 6th January. No, the 6th January.
This was in 2020.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The recent one was in January.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the first. That was the most chaotic.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, so that's what I'm referring to. The one where the military ended up in the office of parliament.
That was serious.
Yeah, that one was more. That's exactly what I'm saying. That it was more chaotic than this one.
So that one you condemned.
But I condemned the influx of the military in the Chamber of Parliament, but not the conduct itself. The conduct itself, I do not condemn at all. I think that we need to show to ourselves and to the world that we can always disagree, and it can go to that highest level and still remain united as a nation
without resulting in the fisticuffs.
This was not a fisticuff. That's my whole point. My whole point is that you see, pretending that you cannot have disagreement.
Any physical contact? You didn't see that?
No, there was
a part of it.
It is part of it.
That you go and be pushing each other.
It was part of it.
It can
Johnny.
degenerate.
It could degenerate. So I agree. But so long as you are not there, for me, as far as I'm concerned, it is good we do this. It is good to show the world and ourselves that we are human beings at the end of the day. And we can disagree, we can have all these banters, and at the same time, still sit on the same table and dine.
So
this is my position on
this. Is this a
you
good
don't have
reflection
to
of it? Wait, I'm coming. Is it a good reflection of the Parliament of Ghana?
I know Alfred and Kofi do not share in my opinion, which is why you are not allowing me to proceed.
I'm just asking questions. It doesn't really matter whether or not I agree. No, relax. I'll come to you. I'm saying that with what we just saw, is it? What does it add to the debate and the process of Parliament's work that you have parliamentarians deciding to occupy a particular position in Parliament, which then degenerated into this? And if you say that they didn't result in fisticuffs, I'll show you a video.
Don't worry. Let's even assume it did, right? We have seen worse. We've seen worse. I mean, this is nothing. No, come on. No. This is nothing condemnable as far as I'm concerned.
You don't condemn.
No, not at all. Because and I say this, I agree. And I say this on the back of what we've seen out there. We have seen videos out there in the world of other parliamentarians throwing their.
I get it, but why do you want to compare those low moments of other parliaments to justify this?
No, I'm not using it to justify. Then you are clearly not listening.
Okay.
My point is this: that showing this, exhibiting this conduct, is healthy for all of us to admit that at the end of the day, remember, this is part of parliamentary business anyway. That we can disagree. Indeed, it is. We can disagree.
Yes.
We can disagree. We can go all out to do all these and still sit. Dinner and party. That makes you human.
I don't see how this forms.
That makes you human. Let's not pretend that because you're a member of parliament, you no longer have emotions. Exactly. You no longer have emotions. Yes. That I cannot accept that one. You do. Honorable has nothing to do with you hiding your true emotions in Parliament.
We are not supposed to.
No, Kofi. No, I didn't interject. Kofi, relax. So at what point would you say that this is where we leave off? This is where an anger should stop.
Decorum. That's where the point is.
But this
Parliament. The name Parliament comes from parler, to speak, debate with your voice. You lawyers, all of you are taught that you don't have to even raise your voice.
I know you have a lot of opinion. I admit. But my point remains that this. You may choose to condemn this. But I will completely disagree with anyone condemning this kind of conduct because I think that it is part. It's not my thought. This is part of parliamentary business.
I see.
For anyone to express his disagreement with the other.
This.
It is part of
That's
parliament. Yes,
why
it
the
is.
military
It
ended
is.
up in the chamber.
No, that was wrong.
That was wrong.
You couldn't
This is what
enter
leads to that.
parliament.
Okay,
You,
but you see-
no.
You see,
No, when members of parliament are having their own field day, it is not.
Documents were
It
signed.
is
Thank you,
not.
thank
It
you.
is not
So you
left.
see-
It is not a decision of a minister or
Up to today,
or
we
a
don't
military
send the
to
military
enter.
into
Hold on.
That is what. That is what we need to investigate.
Gentlemen,
Those are the matters that we need to debate and need to find
we
answers to
cannot
it. But
authenticate
this
that.
conduct cannot
Was still
be a
exercising
condemnable conduct.
Thank you. But
Let's
you see, I just wanted to find, you
Yes.
see, in as much as you don't
intervening
want to,
period.
gentlemen,
Yes.
hold on, please. You don't condemn the outcome of the actions, but you cannot also, in as much as you say that for the military coming into the chamber, you condemn.
Of course, because that was completely
Good.
unacceptable.
Perfect. But there were some,
And you cannot
No,
justify
I'm-
the
I'm-
entry of the
I'm-
military by
No,
the
no,
conduct
I'm
that was
coming,
displayed.
I'm coming. But you see, you can't disassociate the two.
You can actually. You can.
see,
Because
the-
the
the-
military
there is-
is not,
there-
it is
there-
not a police of parliament.
there's-
They
there-
are not in charge of parliamentary
you see,
discipline.
there
They have
are-
no business in parliament.
Good.
In fact, their presence there was a no-no.
That's a fact. You cannot condemn what led to exactly what you are acknowledging, because if the conduct of the members of parliament on that day did not go the way it went, it wouldn't warrant. I'm coming. It wouldn't warrant
Thank you.
the military then coming in, because
Alfred, you are still
the
getting it
clerk
wrong.
to the
You are still
parliament.
getting it wrong.
Wait.
To say
coming.
that because members of parliament were acting in a particular way, and for that matter, the military had the right to enter,
But
it's completely unacceptable.
nobody has said
You
that.
can't even go there.
But
No,
relax.
that's your premise.
Listen.
You are still
saying
insisting that it was because of the conduct that they entered.
You
And
talk
my
about,
point is
I'm
that
saying
it's
to
not
you that,
possible.
you see,
No
you
conduct of members of parliament
relax,
is good enough
relax.
to allow a member of the armed forces
I am
to
coming
enter.
to a point. You are saying that this, what we are saying now, you don't condemn because it is part of parliamentary practice.
Absolutely.
And I'm telling you
Yes.
that your reference to what happens in other parliaments,
Yes. Including our own parliament.
Good, is not enough a justification for this, because we cannot keep comparing ourselves with dwarfs and always think we are tall. You see, there has to be a point, and this, the procedures and practice of parliament as enshrined in the standing orders, doesn't include this.
Actually, it does include protest. It
Protest
does.
that
It
does
does
not
include protest.
result
This is
in
physical.
this is not protest. That
Altercation.
is defined
See,
in the
look,
standing
how
orders
do you
of
even
parliament.
define this? See, I mean, look at how someone almost threatened to blow another person.
No, you see-
yet hugged him with smiles, and both parties.
Relax.
Did you see how many hugs did you see?
Parliament
If
is
Kofi
not.
wants to be the moderator, we can go on that.
Hold on. You see,
No.
Parliament is not. Parliament is not.
See,
a house.
look at this.
Gentlemen,
Look at this.
hold on.
You-
And
look at this.
I'll come to.
Look at this. I mean, this should be the most beautiful thing to show to the world.
Parliament in itself is not a house without laws. They are governed by standing orders. Every step of the way. And
the military has no
discharge
role
of
to
their
play in
duties.
that.
Exactly. So
The
it cannot be.
the rules do not admit of the
case.
military entering parliament.
You see, that's why I said that when you reference that, I'm telling you that the standing orders of parliament does not in any way accommodate what you are saying you do not see anything wrong with.
Yeah.
I am basing my position specifically on the rules that govern the work and the mandate and the practice of the business of the House. That does not in any way countenance what you are not condemning. If the standing orders don't allow this,
Yes.
there's no way we should also be supporting this situation. That's the danger. That's where I want us to see it from. So that if, for instance, your students come to class,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And you teach in a school where you have challenges with, for instance, how students dress. Is it not? You're putting some measures in
If
place
you want
to
us to
address
discuss
it.
my school, we
So
can discuss my
there
school.
are other matters
But
that
my school
you see,
would actually love the PR
Indeed.
if you want us to discuss it.
You see, so when you bring in what the institution has decided to do, as against what you think is right. That is where my problem is, because they have laid down rules and regulations
Alfred, you are
that governs a particular practice. That's all.
You are missing the two. Not condemning it doesn't make it right. But it does not also mean that it is not part of what members of parliament are allowed to do.
Okay.
So there are two different things. And my point is this. Let's not pretend that we can never disagree as humans or as members of parliament. Okay. We are allowed to disagree and still come to the same table and discuss our disagreements to fashion out better means of addressing our concerns.
Thank you.
And that is part of...
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
I want to go quickly on this matter.
Okay. There's no way Alfred will get me to agree on this. It will never happen.
It's okay. That's why you have a view.
And you and Kofi, there's nothing you can do for me to change
your position. I don't intend to change.
You actually do.
Okay.
Okay. So what do I see about it? You see, I think I kind of understand what Justice Abdullah wants to say. But I think that, look, Justice, to be clear, it went a bit overboard when it turned physical. So maybe you should have separated the chanting part from the physical part. Maybe you should show the video again. You see Sticker, all right, moving in a fighting mood, hitting people all over, pushed Bernard, the deputy, Bernard Ahiafo.
First deputy.
Yeah, first deputy speaker. You see how Sticker pushed him, pushed others. No, that's quite violent. That's violent. It's violent. And then you see the other side where they were pushing, and then the other parliament. Look at this. I mean, no. Look.
This is nothing condemnable.
Oh, no.
This is nothing condemnable.
No. Look, you see, listen.
I don't see the condemnation in this.
That wasn't Bernard.
That
was the new Equity MP, Bernard Bediaku.
Okay.
There's nothing condemnable. Sticker is laughing throughout.
That's not
please show it again.
That's
Sticker is laughing throughout.
Wait, you look.
No, he's laughing throughout.
Look.
That's Bediaku.
That looks like a member. No, he looked at the first deputy.
Yeah, he pushed
I was busy dealing with my emotions.
No. So you see, I understand what you want to say, but this one is over the top.
No, I disagree. I disagree on that. I disagree
Look at the man going and pushing people all over.
He's pushing the same people he's pushing. He's laughing with all of them. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
No, we can't matter him.
No, he's laughing with all of them.
In thought, the least touching of a person in anger without his consent.
That's right.
It's battery. He's battered.
No, not in this case. In this case, the close proximity cannot amount to battery.
Alfred,
wait. I'm on the floor. No. I think that's exactly. You are going to confuse this law students. Lawyers will not agree with you.
No.
Listen, wait. When we say thought, the law of thoughts, right?
No.
If you
we are not even in the era of thought.
We're
not in that space.
We are talking about what went bad.
Yes.
We are talking about our laws. We are analyzing our laws.
As a matter of fact, this cannot even amount to thought because Martin,
it will fly.
They are in parliament. They are all immune.
Hold on.
Who told you that?
They are immune.
Oh, you're lying. No. Who told you that? That's not law.
Thank you. Okay, please make your point.
Let's even address the first one. That's my question. Parliament does not give immunity against crimes.
No, but thought is not crime.
I'm coming to the criminal law aspect. I'm even switching the two. If you come to criminal law, assault.
No, but we are not talking about assault. You're not talking about thought.
I'm not coming to assault. We want to analyze all.
Martin. Then you are rather misleading the whole group. You say one thing and you change it to another.
Okay, thank you.
We address the first thing.
Thank you very much.
I'm not sure you're not coming to
let's hear from you.
Of course.
So you keep quiet. Let me make my. You talk with
Thank you.
Listen, in law, let's explain this. So you see, viewers, of course, some are lawyers, but for those who are not lawyers, in law, a slap, okay. If you slap somebody, it's not a joke. So if you slap somebody in this without his consent, you are not joking with him. At least it has two consequences. I want to leave out harm in case the teeth come. I want the basic one. Slapping him qualifies as what we call assault in criminal law. So the person can proceed to the police station to report you. That does not take away from the person's right. So you will be prosecuted in court, sometimes fined, and the law allows even for a jail term, right? But that doesn't take away from the civil law remedy that same person can now sue you in a civil court for compensation.
Yeah.
So there are two. So if we talk about torts, T-O-R-T-S, that's the civil law part, okay? And then there's the criminal assault. So you are allowed. So one action can have at least two consequences. And you remember I said I want to make it simple. If teeth came out, etc., you can even have another offense. Let's leave it. I just want to stay basic. So it's misleading when somebody tells you that if you said torts, you cannot say criminal assault. Look, what happened there with Sticker, that's Stephen Amwa, MP for Inshares also, right? Pushing Bernard Ahiafo and others, it will qualify for both criminal assault and then there's also battery in the law of torts. Now, let's be also very clear. The parliamentary immunity doesn't cover crimes.
Yeah.
It does, and thank you, Honorable Dafe Mekwas, echoed it here. Maybe Mr. Can say, let him 1 minute so that it will reinforce. Yes, because there's a parliament. Because if a lawyer comes to mislead you that the immunity placed in the Constitution for MPs covers crime, that's a lie. It's a complete lie. The Constitution does not grant MPs immunities to commit crimes on the floor of Parliament. It's always been, look, if you read the fat book, we, in constitutional law, Professor Kumado will teach you, those days, they told us, go and take Eskime. Eskime is like the Bible of Parliament. It's in there long ago. So over 20 years ago, I read that the parliamentary immunity does not cover crimes. If you go and commit a crime in the course of a debate, you'll be held liable. So I'm surprised that more than 20 years, a lawyer comes to tell me that immunity covers this.
Okay. That is why in Article 117, members, the clerk to Parliament, and Speaker himself can be served. There's a procedure for serving criminal summons on them. So the presumption is that if you go and commit a crime, it's actionable.
Yeah, and then also
on the floor.
Yes, and then they're not too distant past. And the speaker referred the last time there was a brawl. The speaker referred the matter to the police. That's even a committee sitting, and the committee sitting is taken as part of parliamentary sitting.
That was at the vetting.
Yes, at the vetting. The speaker referred the matter to the police. So please, let nobody deceive you that you can go and do anything on the
that particular instance. Yes, you will. I just want him to comment. I'll come back to you on it.
You see, parliamentary work is sometimes too boring, and we are watching you sleep. So sometimes we like this action. This is testosterone working. When you put, when we are watching, we sleep. Those watching,
you sleep?
Yes.
You the waters.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you.
Okay. No. Let me make a point. You see, sometimes this is testosterone working. You put a bunch of men, about 80% of parliament are men there, and there's a heated debate. There's bound to be testosterone working.
There are also women in parliament.
Now, if you look at that happen, I think in this particular round, Sticker won. I just like he won. He won this particular thing. Look, I like the way he started off like 10, and in less than 2-3 seconds, he's come down to hugging someone. That emotional roller coaster. I'm just saying that Sticker won in this particular. He was one, and I also believe that the Ghana Armed Forces, apart from all the requirements about the MP, must come up with some physical requirements that people must be physically strong to go. So that when it's like this, you do look. These people are doing like this because yes, I'm saying that. I'm saying brief. Let me make my points. But the film, you would have qualified. Don't worry, you would have probably Martin would have qualified.
Of course. Yes.
The point on the beginning. Look, we should once in a while have this, and I am happy that when this happened this time, the army didn't come in. I'm happy. I'm happy that the security people, the parliamentary security was able to do it. Look, these are real human beings who are passionate about the debates they're having. These are real human beings who are acting in the real world. In the real world, we raise our voices. In the real world, we lose our anger. In the real world, sometimes this pushing and shoving happens. But there's something you are seeing about that. Even in the midst of that, you are seeing hugging, you are seeing laughing, you are seeing smiling, and you are seeing everything's happen. And it was a form of protesting. Because look, we've come down this road before. And I will be happy that with a small window is allowed for people to ventilate, to get it out of their system and to go back. The idea that you just think, no, they are not cooked in a room. It's not, Parliament is not a lab. It's not a physics or a chemistry or a biology lab where you can hold conditions constant, where you can create ideal conditions. Parliament actually represents what happened in the real world, outside where we are. In the real world where we are, these things do happen. In the real world we are, people get angry, people shout, people scream, people push, and people shove. It happened. In Commonwealth Hall, we perfected this. You are a vandal. The former are you a vandal?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. I mean, we perfected this in the city. We perfected this in the city. Exactly. So the point, look, nobody's glorifying vandal, but I'm saying that it happened, it went off, the next day they came to me there.
It's not a vandals thing.
No, that's how we think.
We Lego boys, we don't think.
Lego, you see, we are talking about hall, you are talking about Lego hall. That one to be hall. That one to a hall. That's why we are talking about better people, you are saying Lego hall. Okay. The president is a vandal. Remember that. I'll let him bring soldiers here to come and arrest you right now. Don't talk about vandals like that. We are wild. We are wild like that.
Conclude on the point.
Because once a vandal, we are always a vandal.
Okay.
You are not correct.
Right. Conclude on
at the end of the day.
You conclude.
It has happened. Let it be a one-time thing.
Okay.
If every year they do G's just once, I'll be fine. Let it be a one-time thing. And let it go. And let's never come back here again.
You are an anarchist.
Thank you very much. I come back to you.
Okay. So the issues that triggered the Tuesday events were matters that we in the NDC methodically pursued judicially.
Okay.
We are not making those demands whimsically. These are based on proven judicially established decisions. We made the point that yes, by all means, file processes. By all means, hold your press conferences. But even if you come to the floor and you raise concerns, don't be disruptive of parliamentary proceedings. So we can say, what did we do? We got the order of the court served on the clerk to parliament, and then invariably the speaker. When you serve an order of the clock of the court as ordered on the speaker, there ought to be consequences. I saw Professor Azar wrote that parliament needed to do nothing. I disagree with him.
Well, we have a portion of that.
Yes.
Said.
I disagree with him because you see, Parliament initially was a party, the clerk, but on the 15th of May 2025, the court misjoined Parliament and the district director of the EC and maintained Nyindam as well as the EC as the respondent. So when the order was issued and directed that the second respondent to take action, Parliament ought to be served. Service of an order of the court is to put you on notice. Once the notice comes, so Speaker was clear when he said, by the terms of the order, invariably Article 97 has been sprung to life. There's a vacancy, but I cannot pronounce it now. So Majority Chief Whip, your demand that the member be pronounced a persona non grata was premature because of the Court of Appeal rules. So after a flushing of time, 1st December, Nyindam was no longer eligible to appear in Parliament. Now, once I got the order served on Parliament, I got the order served on the EC. Parliament needed to inform the EC that there's a vacancy.
Even though one of the lawyers.
Oh, but this matter, you have to go back to December 2024, and early days of January 2025 to understand. I'll be central to all the disputed matters.
Yes, we could see on TV.
Because the chairman personally called me and said, look, we need you to handle these matters and coordinate them. So Tema Central, Techiman South, Obuasi East, Suhum, Nsewom, Okainkwe Central, Okainkwe Central, Ablekuma North, then there's that's Akwitia, and then Kpandai, this one, and a couple in the Ashanti region. We went to court in all these matters, and the 5, that's the notorious 5, Tema Central, Ablekuma North, Okainkwe Central, Domi Kwabinya, and another one that were put together by our director of legal for a composite action. But apart from that, we went to court individually in respect of and then Techiman South. So it was those 5 that were put together and filed court of, if you followed, we went to the High Court and then they petitioned to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court decided that the court must come back and reorder, if you recall. But apart from that, 4 others went to court, including this one.
Okay.
You see, Suhum is also pending. Suhum is before the Kufuor High Court.
I see.
Good.
So we haven't been indolent. We've been very methodical. We don't like talking in the media. But we've been in court all this while. So once this decision comes, look, if anybody says Nyindam will be disadvantaged, the greater damage or harm will be borne by Nyindam. What about us, the NDC? We had a seat. We had a city member of parliament. And the decision came and disfavored us. We didn't take machetes to parliament.
Okay.
We didn't take cudgels. So hold on. We went to court and allowed Nyindam, but we cautioned him that we are in court. The day that the court will decide, he should be ready to face the consequences. He told us that he was ready. And now the pronouncement is here. Not in our favor, not in anybody's favor. There's a rerun. Then you say that even though there's a decision against me, I have filed a notice of appeal, which is a mere paper, because it can be withdrawn tomorrow. Yeah. I have filed an application or notice for stay, which is also a mere process. It can be withdrawn tomorrow. Yeah. The order of the court, which is subsisting, and the new Court of Appeal rule says that a filing of a notice of appeal on an application for stay of execution does not operate as a stay until there is an order of the court setting aside or staying the order of that court. I didn't bring this amendment. It was brought by Zato and his government.
I see.
To amend the Court of Appeal rules. So the new Court of Appeal rules says that until there's a substantive order of the court of first instance or of the Court of Appeal, the order of the court must be obeyed. You don't want to obey that. But you want me to allow you that because you filed a process, me as an NDC, I should be disadvantaged. We won't do that.
Yeah. I see. Okay.
Because when the equities are equal, the first in time must prevail. Yeah. And I have the first equity in this matter.
You made different arguments in the Quayson situation.
No, I was told that I was espousing a bad law.
Do you still believe those points you made?
No, I don't believe them.
You've abandoned them?
Why?
If it happens again, would you want this treatment to be meted out to you?
Which treatment?
What you are meting out right now to you?
I'm not meting out.
No, I'm talking about your side. So, look, what I'm looking for...
Hold on, Kofi.
Okay, gentlemen. Kofi. So there's this...
Kofi, Kofi, one of the government... Hold on. One of the government of the sectorial application is this. The EC actually issued several gazette notices between the 24th and the 6th of 24th December 2024 and 6th of January 2025. There were a lot of seats that we tangled over. After the tango, before the swearing of the 9th Parliament, the EC now issued this. So when the Gazette notification for 6th of January now contained all the seats except Ablekumanov at the time, this was what the EC brought to Speaker. And the clerk actually pronounced on this and proceeded to swear us in. And this contained Nyindam at the time. So it was not the 24th December Gazette notification. So when somebody says they are in court because there was an initial Gazette notification, it didn't contain Tama Central. It didn't contain Ablekuma Central. It didn't contain Domiko Abenya. It didn't contain Techiman South. It didn't contain Suhum. It didn't contain Isaoma Dwejri. It didn't contain all those contentious seats where ballot papers were being moved from regions and declared at Tesano. So this was what the EC eventually relied on. That was why we had to refile the petition based on the issuance of this on the 25th.
Okay.
So these matters must be properly set.
This is
the Monday since January. So the ticking of time began from 6 January upon the Gazette notification. It is after this that anybody who got aggrieved in respect of any of the decisions in the parliamentary elections could now proceed to court.
Now, the question Kofi was asking is, should this become a standard, if I get it right? Yes. Should this become a standard for such happenings or future petitions?
Standard as in,
if you are declared by a court of first instance not to have been properly elected, you are out of parliament, even if you file an appeal. You and I know.
Let me respond to you. In Jachi Kwesi, it was also a dispute over a parliamentary election. Jachi's matter was not determined on its merits. Our brothers, the NPP, they brought an injunctive order to say that before you hear the matter on its merits, injunct the man. The court heard application. For the first time, they departed from the beaten path and said that a constitutional office holder could not be injuncted from performing his until a substantive court says so, or a court order says otherwise. They departed and said Jachi Kwesi per an intermediary order of the court. They say he could not hold himself as an MP. So invariably his salary was stopped. District Assembly's common fund was stopped. Jachi Kwesi couldn't access his office. Interim court order. Before the matter could be heard on its merits, the court says you cannot hold yourself as an MP. We allow no. Let me. You are digressing. No, I'm not digressing. It's a very simple matter. I am just opposing this with a similar contestation of an election of a member of parliament. His was based on nationality. That's the eligibility criteria. This one was based on. No, this one will go. Kofi, let me finish. This one was based on eligibility of declaration, of the sanctity of declaration of results, or the sanctity of the outcome. His was based on eligibility of competition. They say he was not eligible to contest. So, but a court, and we observed it. We say, oh, we have filed notice. Look, when Jachi Kwesi, when the injunctive decision was given, and eventually when the decision of the court, we couldn't even file a notice of appeal because the court registry was not working. So I want to say that my colleague was removed from parliament based on an interim court order. This one is a final court order, even though it's been appealed. So,
so that's why the question is that
people who suffered the greater harm, the political group, the NDC, will suffer the greater harm in Jachi Kwesi than the NPP is suffering in Yindam. Jachi Kwesi based on interim order, in Yindam based on a final court order.
Right.
So who suffered the greater injustice?
And
so I beg you, very important. These things will continue. That's one. In every religion, there is what is called a golden rule. You do unto others what you want to be done to you. Now, you've said a lot of things, but the gravamen of the matter is this. When a court makes a pronouncement, circuit court or high court or whatever, an initial pronouncement over the eligibility of a parliamentarian.
There are no laws.
I'm coming. I'm just making a principal position. Should we say that once that initial decision is made, the person vacates parliament, or we should continue with the principle all of us know as lawyers that until a matter is finally adjudicated, it is not complete. To that, no, I'm coming. And when I say that, I mean all the way to the Supreme Court or until the person abandons it. It's a very simple thing, and Alfred, you can stay on this, let them answer for me. So, should we say that we will not listen to any appeal after a first decision is made? What it means, therefore, is this. If the High Court says you are no longer a parliamentarian, you leave Parliament. You can choose to appeal. Now, the EC can choose to do an election, and then you may lose the election. But technically, you can win the appeal. Now, if you win the appeal, what happens? So I'm saying, look, what does Roxanne want to be the standard in Parliament? Because we've gone through Jachi Kwesi, we've gone through even some previous situations. Now we have come here. In Jachi Kwesi, you said left. In this one, you are saying right. It seems to me that if it's on you, you make a different argument. If it's on somebody, so what should be the standard? If we cannot agree here, it will go into the record.
So 2 minutes.
So if you permit me, because this statement,
2 minutes.
No, you answer, because this particular question is also one that Professor Stephen Kokasa you referenced. So this is what he posted, and we're going to put this on the screen. He said under Article 112, and he's watching, and I say good morning to you, Professor Stephen Kokasa. Thank you very much for bringing my notice to this. So good morning, Professor Kokasa. It says under Article 1125, and Abdullah is going to scroll it for me right now. Article 1125, it says the clerk of parliament must notify the electoral commission within 7 days of becoming aware that a vacancy has occurred. The key constitutional question is therefore, when does a vacancy legally occur if the validity of the seat is still being litigated under Article 99? 1. Article 99 places the determination of membership in the courts. 99.1 states that the High Court has exclusive jurisdiction to determine whether an MP was validly elected or the seat has become vacant. The clerk cannot treat a seat as vacant until the body constitutionally empowered to decide, that is the High Court, has made that determination. And he says that because Article 99 assigns the determination to the courts, a vacancy cannot be said to have been occurred where the High Court has not yet ruled, or the High Court has ruled but the matter is under appeal. And he says that once a valid vacancy is established, clerk must notify, and it goes on. It says when a conclusion, and let me just conclude on this so that, Lord Avimekwa, you respond to the specific. It says when a seat's validity of vacancy is still being contested in the High Court or on appeal under Article 99, the clerk of parliament must not notify the Electoral Commission. A notification is constitutionally required only after a judicial determination of the vacancy. That's the argument Professor Stephen Kokasa made, and that's also what Lawyer Kofi Bento referenced. Lawyer Dapiameko, please.
So let me anchor my argument first on this. If you read Rule 27 of CI 19, an appeal shall not operate as a stay of execution of proceedings under the judgment or decision appealed against, except where the court below or the court otherwise orders. A, in the case of the court below, upon application made orally or by motion or notice to it. And B, in the case of the court, which is the court of appeal, upon application made to it by motion or notice, and except as provided in this rule, no intermediate act or proceedings shall be invalidated. Listen carefully. Yes. No intermediate act or proceedings shall be invalidated. And 2, when an application is pending for determination under sub-rule 1 of this rule, any proceedings for execution of the judgment or decision to which the application relates shall be stayed. All right? This is the 1997 rule. Now, listen to the amendment. Listen to the amendment.
And it's important that we go through this exercise.
Yes.
For viewers to just bear with me.
Now, Rule 27 of CI 19. So let me say, Court of Appeal Amendment Rules 2020. That's CI 132, 2020. In exercise of the power conferred on the Rules of Court Committee by Clause 2 of Article 157 of the Constitution, these rules are made this first day of October 2020. So, Rule 1, Rule 27 of CI 19 is amended. 1. The Court of Appeal Rules 1997 CI 19 referred to in this enactment as the principal enactment is amended in Rule 27 by A, the substitution for Rule 1 of 1. An appeal shall not operate. They introduce this phrase, so an appeal shall not operate. That's a notice of an appeal. Shall not operate as a stay of execution under the judgment or decision appealed against, unless the court otherwise orders on an application made in the court by motion or notice. B, the insertion after Rule 1 of, that is in the old rules.
Right.
A, that's 1A. Unless otherwise provided in this rule, an intermediate act or any other proceeding subsequent to an application under sub-rule 1 shall not be invalidated. So you cannot fault the clerk to Parliament communication to
the Electoral
EC.
Commission.
You can't fault. You can't fault it.
What should be
See,
the standard?
the substitution for Rule 3 of, that is 3, there shall be a stay of execution of the judgment or decision appealed against for a period of 7 days, immediately following the giving of notice of the judgment or decision. So this is the amendment. So basically, where you have filed a notice of appeal and apply for notice application or notice for stay of execution, they have no value in law, judicially speaking, unless the court itself or the court of first instance makes another stay its own order.
Okay.
So I didn't bring this amendment. This is an enhancement of the 1997 position.
I see.
So
does that answer the question?
It answers. So if Kofi is, so all of us must be guided. When I was espousing that, as practitioners, when I file a notice of appeal and followed it consequentially with an application or notice for stay, all of us ought to stay our hands. But they brought this amendment in 2020 to say that no, that is no longer the law.
I see.
It can be disregarded, and no intermediary action taken can be faulted, can be invalidated.
Interesting. And I'm going to be coming back to you after the morning. Justice Abdullahi, you had indicated that this release by the Electoral Commission, how it is carried out, and in fact, even the notification by the clerk could be veering into the realms of contempt.
They vote this
right. Why is that?
So, first, before I go on this, I need to react to the misleading communication from my brother Martin.
Okay.
Viewers and listeners need to know that when you talk about tort, it is not a crime.
Okay.
A tort is a civil wrong.
Right.
And so to make it look like the commission of a tort becomes a crime is wrong. What we were discussing was the issues that were happening in Parliament.
Right.
And the issues that were happening in Parliament, no crime had been committed, at least not that we are aware of, unless maybe someone knows more. So if you say that somebody touching another person could amount to a tort, that is where I say that if it is even a tort, that issue is not a matter that can be taken on because it is immune.
Right. Okay.
And that is not wrong in law. Okay. That is a fact in law. We never discuss any issue about crime. So if there's a crime, that is a different issue. So this needs to be pointed out. Exactly.
Thank you.
Tortious conduct are civil wrongs.
Yes.
And they are all immune. So, and once again, it's good that Roxanne is affirming this. He's
okay.
No, but civil wrong is not.
Gentlemen.
Yes. No. Let him.
Yes.
So isn't that an affirmation or not?
Civil law is not actionable.
Thank you. That's all I'm saying. So I don't know why Martin was so.
It's actionable.
No, but crime. We're not talking about crime.
Okay.
So I don't know why Martin was so angry about that one because we're not discussing crime.
No, I think Martin was focused on the commission of a crime.
Exactly. But my point is that I was not contesting him on the crime. Okay. But he made it look like
it's immune.
No, I said it was immune. Because you were talking about tort. You kept insisting on tort.
I think that
I said yes, tort is immune.
You've cleared that point, yes.
So, and Martin himself has to confirm that. Indeed, what I'm saying is correct. Because to make it sound as though we were discussing crime when we were discussing tort, which is a civil action, was clearly disingenuous and it wasn't right. So, Martin, that's all I wanted to see. Now, let's come back to this.
Okay.
I see the Electoral Commission in this particular case being put in the middle of a tussle between an MPP and an NDC. And it's a very dangerous one. In fact, it's a huge trap that anyone sitting in the office of the Electoral Commission would find it very difficult to navigate. Now, because, as I said, acting on the orders of the court could amount to contempt of court. Similarly, not acting could be a subject of another contempt. In fact, I am aware that a contempt action has been filed by the MP, or I think one of the parties. Let me be clear. One of the parties against the Electoral Commission for not acting.
Yes, that was the NDC candidate.
Thank you. Now,
but on the same day, the Electoral Commission released that communication.
But that same conduct could also amount to contempt of court. And this is so because, as Roxanne rightly read out, Rule 27 only stays any process of execution once the stay of execution has been filed. It stays it. And it has a window. This window, in fact, even after the court has made a determination of the application, you still have a 1 week window that you cannot do anything at all.
Right.
Now, I do not know whether that is what has become an issue here or not. But once the application is filed, Order 27 of this, Order 27 of the Court of Appeal rules makes it mandatory that you stay your hands. And this is in Rule 2, Order 27 Rule 2. No. Let me read out Rule 2. Yeah. It says that when an application is pending for determination, forget about that part I say, of this rule, any proceedings for execution of the judgment or decision to which the application relates shall be stayed. This is what Order 27 Rules 2 say. And so, if it has to be stayed whilst the application is pending, in other words, before the court sees with the jurisdiction, in this particular case, the Court of Appeal makes a determination.
You are reading the old rule.
Okay.
There's a 97 position.
Okay.
The 2020 position is this. An appeal shall not operate as a stay of execution.
No, that one is a general one. That one has not been amended.
No. You see.
No, I'm talking about the Rule 1. The Rule 1 has not been amended. Rule 1 remains the same.
No, it's been enhanced.
Okay,
so it says an appeal shall not operate as a stay of execution under the judgment or decision appealed against.
Okay.
Unless the court otherwise orders on an application made to the court by motion or notice. So 2, unless otherwise provided in this rule, an intermediate act or any other proceeding subsequent to an application under Rule 1 shall not be invalidated. These are the amendments. Okay. Then 3, unless otherwise provided in this rule, an intermediate act or any other proceeding subsequent to an application under Rule 1 shall not be invalidated.
No. So we are not talking about the intermediate act. Yes. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the act after the application for stay of execution has been filed.
This is subsequent. So before.
Yes. Good. So the issues I'm dealing with, right? If the application is pending, is it your case that while the application is pending, you can still go ahead and execute the judgment?
That is all.
That would be prejudice.
No.
That would prejudice.
No.
Okay,
this is what one is saying.
Okay.
One says an appeal.
No, we're not talking about the appeal. We are dealing with the stay, the application for stay, not the appeal. The substantive appeal, we all know that you cannot. I mean, you can always do whatever you want to do because as for the substantive appeal, a person may decide not to even withdraw, but not to act at all.
Yes.
And so that one has always been the law, right? But when an application for stay of execution is filed, it changes the dynamics.
It does not.
Go ahead.
It does not.
Go ahead.
Because an application or notice for stay is of no consequence.
No. I disagree. I disagree.
Go and read. Hold on. Go and read the authority in Ghana Hotels Limited.
No. I disagree.
Wait. I'm giving you authority. Read the Supreme Court in Ghana Hotels Limited versus Peak Plus.
Thank you. All right.
It says that an application for stay of execution is of no consequence.
Thank you. No. He invited you.
It cannot stay a substantive order of the court.
He invited you. So allow him. No.
No, that's not my point.
Make your
point. My point is that once an application for stay of execution is pending, the law is that you stay. This is
but I'm saying that the Supreme Court says.
Yes.
So the Supreme Court says in Ghana Hotels Limited versus Peak Plus.
Yes.
The Supreme Court says that a mere filing of an application or notice for stay of execution cannot operate as a stay.
Okay.
At all.
All right.
So stay anything. Otherwise, people will file a stay of execution and go to bed.
Thank you.
Well, in practice, that's what we all do anyway.
So this matter,
in practice, that's what we all do.
Practice,
we all do that in practice.
Yes. And the court.
In fact, Martin and I have had a lot of battle on this one.
It is
both at the Supreme Court and
so
the
when
Court
you
of
file an
Appeal.
application, You must be.
For more than 10 years, Martin and I have been fighting on this.
What I did, I recorded one litigation. What I did, when I applied for an application for or notice for stay, I actually made a specific request for hearing within 3 days.
Yes.
Expeditious hearing.
As a matter of fact, now they give you barely a week. Good. Just so you don't go and sleep.
Good. We started.
Just so you don't go and sleep.
Thank you. So for you to save your client, you must ensure that the court hears you timeously.
So there's some answer to that question you asked. So let's move on.
So
don't invite him in.
So I never invited him. I never invited him. My boss taught to me that when you automatic. He says that when you have the 7-day automatic period, you file your application almost immediately and apply to the registrar that this matter must be heard
Thank you very much.
Like within 5 days.
You've made your point.
So when you are heard of merits and you are granted, by the lapse of the 7 days, you have a substantive order staying in the hands of the court.
Right. Now, but unfortunately,
after the lapse of the 7 days, it will kick in.
Okay.
So it's all
unfortunately, right? As I was saying, the Electoral Commission finds himself in this whole quagmire where he has, she in this particular case, have very little room to operate.
No.
Let me finish. You let me finish.
No, this cannot go in.
Let me. Okay. This
wait.
No, allow him. It's my time. Yes.
You want to allow him. Let it be on record.
The order.
Yes. Okay.
The order. In fact, paragraph 2 of the order says, it is hereby ordered that the petition of the petitioner is upheld. And this court orders a rerun of the Kpandai constituency parliamentary election in 30 days. Second respondent to comply with the order. So after 7 days automatic stay, you must comply. Do you know what we did? We cited them in contempt.
I see.
That's what, because after the 7 days, if you don't issue the notice for rerun, you are in contempt of the court.
Thank you very much.
So I think you've the letter from Parliament is actually of no consequence to Electoral Commission taking an action. But they pretended that they were rather acting because the Parliament has communicated. Because they are a party.
All right, thank you very much.
When you are a party, the law is that you don't even need to be served with the order before you comply.
As a matter of fact, no, that I disagree. When you are a party, when you are a party, you need to be served with an order to comply. Serving a court order.
Thank you very much. Now, there's one thing that I want us to. You see, there's the law, and then also what the reality of the situation is playing out.
What's standard doing?
The standard
argued both sides.
Great. That's all we're talking common law.
So stop the law.
Wait.
All right. Anyway, so no, let's move on from the law. Let's move on from the law.
Okay.
So my point is this. Let's even assume that the equities are equal. And that we can make progress.
First in time must prevail.
My question is, but I'm not responding to you again, but I'm no longer inviting you.
Yes.
So my point is this, must we necessarily perpetuate what happened, the condemnable conduct that happened to Jachikwesin? Must that be the standard that we operate with? In fact, this is an issue that Roxanne and I have been on a lot of programs that I have been championing, that we must not make Jachikwesin the standard of our conduct. We condemned it when it happened. And so because of that, I felt that, my position has been this. We can sanitize this system either by making reforms that ensures that parliamentary success to parliament is designed such that emotions and antagonisms do not become the order of the day. Because at this point, what I see is this. I see the NDC side being motivated purely by the misconduct of the previous regime in relation to Jachikwesin. But that shouldn't be what we do.
No,
what we should do.
It is called precedent.
What we should do.
What
we should do.
Not appeal that.
I am not inviting you, as I said. What we should do rather is to ensure that we have a clean slate. Let's start from there. Let's assume that we are even resetting this part of our parliamentary business, because we need a healthy parliamentary democracy. And the do you, I do me cannot be the basis for achieving that objective. The best way to achieve that objective is to allow what sometimes you guys call cool health to prevail by ensuring that two things. First, ensuring that we go strictly in accordance with what we know in practice as lawyers, or we make reforms by way of legislation to dictate the pace on these matters so that nobody's private emotions or decisions dictate how we move on with matters like this.
Right.
And matters like this would involve consistently somebody accusing the court of misconduct or accusing the Electoral Commission of inaction. And so to avoid these matters, let's have a clean slate. Let's have a pure, simple legislation that says that if, assuming it is a court order, once the order is made, we go by the court order, notwithstanding any right of appeal and all other consequential applications that a person may make. Or, on the other hand, until the final determination with timelines, then we know that these are the procedures that we are adopting going forward. I think that will help all of us better than allowing our individual idiosyncrasies to determine the way forward on these issues.
Okay, thank you very much.
Alfred, I just wanted to say something.
Dr. Zato.
Yeah, it's important.
Yes, please.
Why are we here today? How do we arrive at Kpandai? And then the question we have to ask is, if we are to blame somebody, are we blaming Parliament? Are we blaming the judiciary? Or are we blaming the ECA elections that happened at the forefront?
Right.
I think... That shouldn't be. No, that should be. One of the most important things we are forgetting is that there's a reason why Kpandai happened. And that happened because of violence. Violence at the coalition center. That is why Kpandai came up. If on the night of the vote, if on the evening of the vote, we had gone inside and they had counted everything and everything was boring, and we left there and we went back, we wouldn't be here where we are today. We are here today because violence begets what? Violence. You see, the so-called violence you saw in Parliament, it started in Kpandai. It started when thugs and hooligans attacked the coalition center. There's a reason why the coalition center was moved from Kpandai to the Tamale High Court. That was a violence act. It was violence. Violence moved it there. And so that's what I was saying. Parliament is real. Parliament is not a kind of physics or chemistry lab where you can hold all conditions perfect.
Constant.
You then saw that same violence permeated, that same violence made its way into the Chamber of Parliament. And it was that same violence that motivated my brother Sticker to win that day. That's a lighter note. The bigger point is that, look, if we don't want to have more of those kind of things happening, then we need to also be able to say that let's go back to the rules. The rules is this. Violence, the violence that happened. I saw some there are a lot of videos. The videos I saw, because listen, now today you said even if it was motivated by just a question, somebody triggered it. They're triggering it. Why Ghana Police Service, the men and women who went in the NDC pickup to that place and caused them, where are they?
No.
That's what I saw.
Wait.
I'm saying I won't wait. When you're talking, I didn't wait. No. You will allow.
Okay.
When I was no. I'm making the point. I am making that point. The Fiamakwa, you will not stop me. When you went there, I saw people in the NDC pickup that went and disrupted this thing. Where are those people? The men and women who went and destroyed that thing, and we saw the papers flying this. Good. If we don't go down to the heart of that violence, this is what is going to happen. Our coalition centers are now becoming the weakest point in our electoral system. Our coalition centers have allowed people, today look, people can easily game the electoral system. You can do that. What did you do? Every coalition center, you have a smartphone, you can start collating your results from every polling station. If you take Sisala East, for example, far end to the end of Upper East is Santijang and these places, then you can go all the way. The distance is long. So by the time they are bringing the ballot box to Tumu to count, you will know your standing. Candidates winning know. One, the winning candidate will not storm a coalition center. He's already ahead. And he knows that he's ahead because he has got certified pink sheets to show him that he's ahead. If you're ahead, why will you storm a coalition center? It's losing candidates who will storm coalition centers. Because by the time that the evidence comes to the coalition center, he already has the result shows that he's losing. And that's why you go and you destroy the place. My point is that Kpandai is trying to become a test case, a case study of rewarding bad behavior, of rewarding hooliganism. If we let Kpandai stand, it will set a standard whereby anybody losing will just ask, will game the system. I'm losing. What do I do? Let get my supporters. Let's storm the coalition center. Destroy everything there. They force the issue to go to court. Because I always believe that when you go to court, it's a coin toss. Everybody's going to go for a very good lawyer. I go for Martin, you go for Kofi. And then they go. And then we've tossed a coin. And if I'm lucky, my political party will help me get a good lawyer, pay the lawyer fees. I just sit down. And before you realize, eternal election, they are lost 2, 3, 4 months and I've won. We shouldn't let Kpandai define that. We shouldn't be defined by that. There are different reasons. In the case of Jachi question, it wasn't violence that led us there. There are legal, constitutional things that nothing could have prevented that. But in this case, we know what led us there. We shouldn't let Kpandai stand and become the yardstick. That is 1 to 2. Also, there's something that I think there are a lot of lawyers different. Why is it that judges will say, this is my ruling, but then give me another month, 2 months, 3, 4 months to bring out the actual decision? Why? Why did they do that? I don't know why. Like, I'm not saying this particular judge. My point is that, look, when they do that, they unnecessarily raise the pressure and the ante. And then in that follow period, the period from the ruling to when the actual thing actually comes up, it now opens everything to what? Conspiracy theories, of manipulations, and of everything. You are the judge. The cases have ended today. Today, everybody has filed their closing statements. Why can't you say, okay, I'll give you the ruling this time, a time sufficient enough for you to be able to come up with your reasoned decisions and release everything? Why do you have to do that? I mean, that part, especially in this part of the country, it becomes very powerful. People are not saying, oh, is this conspiracies? Until the ruling comes out. There was one instance where a ruling came out and shut everything. I think it was the case of the Daddy Lumba descent, when the woman came out with the judgment to sort of everything. My point is that, can we go to a system whereby judges should, I mean, they determine the time, determine that, okay, for this particular case, I need this amount of time to come up with my full judgment and release everything once. Okay. When you do that, you dial down the pressure, you dial down the tension, and you make it easier for everybody to move on, so that the people, I think mostly people wait for the actual ruling to appeal, right? So if I don't have the actual ruling, what am I going to appeal for? How am I going to appeal? I'm not saying have, but I'm saying that if I want to appeal, sometimes it will be better to know that these are actually the reasons why you're appealing, so that I don't appeal and then something comes out that I don't know of. Basically, you can always add. You can add, but again, I'm saying at the end of the day, it should be possible for the judiciary themselves to say that, it should be possible for the judiciary themselves to say that, let's not create room for conjectures. Let's not create room for guesswork. Let's not create room for conspiracies. Come with your ruling and the reason behind it once. And do the best. Whatever we do, whether it is a security problem, whether it is a logistical problem, whether it is a legal problem, we need the same way that we have been able to drastically reduce, if not render, the snatching of ballot boxes. We need to be able to fortify coalition centers. We need to be able to say that if this is a coalition center and you are not allowed to be there, don't be there. We need to be able to make sure that you cannot storm a coalition center to disrupt it, because almost all the cases that you've mentioned have to do with some form of storming coalition centers. If we glorify Kpandai, if we let Kpandai become the case study, if we let the Kpandai become the case study, it is going to unleash some amount of violence at polling centers that will threaten the life of electoral workers, political observers, and everybody, and it will render our elections not credible. So please, whatever we need to do, we have to. If not, we are just dealing with the cosmetic things about each issue, but the real issue is that the violence in Kpandai begets the violence in Parliament, and violence always beget violence. Thank you.
No.
Today you spoke more than everybody.
Hold on. No. Wait. Please. I'll give you because this directly falls on your lap as a chief whip, so you have the last word on this. But on this Kpandai situation, and whether or not the clerk notifying Parliament at the time he did falls foul of the law at any point, or slipping into the realms of contempt. Counsel.
For contempt, that would be far.
That was the reference that Justice Abdullah was making.
No. I don't see how contempt comes in, unless maybe it didn't make. There's a what do you call it? A judgment of a court. The clerk reads the judgment. He thinks that based upon it, he should issue his letter to the EC, and then yes, I said that can be contempt.
No, that's what I said.
I
said that the EC acting when there is an application pending, stay in her hands, could amount to contempt, but not the clerk's work. And so I said that they had deferred all the problems onto the EC. rather than they taking it up themselves. So now the EC has been put in a box where acting or not acting could put him in a problem.
Now let's go this way.
That's what I.
Where the problem? Well, not a problem. Let me choose the words carefully. Where you see our jurisprudence is developing now. You know, based on the recent Supreme Court decisions, now they're saying that for a public officer, you cannot stop the public officer from performing his duties until there's an express court order. Yep. So my understanding is that the EC is acting on the basis that the EC is a public office. The commissioners are public officers, so they have the right to go ahead with their processes until there is an express order of the court.
That's correct.
Until there is an express order of the court.
Okay.
So once the Supreme Court has shifted that way, so nowadays, merely filing an application for injunction or merely filing an application for stay of execution would not stop a public officer from acting unless there's an express order. You see that? So the Supreme Court made it clear that they are moving away from the matter of the Bank of Dufour versus Bank of Ghana, not the former governor, it's another Dufour versus Bank of Ghana, where, I mean, we have always had a principle of law which we all respected that, look, once there's the application pending and then you did anything that, you know, nullifies it, anything at all that will render the application, like we say in Ghana, a foolish case, then you have contempt on your hands, right? But now the Supreme Court is clear that if you file an application for injunction, that alone, and in this case, this execution is effectively working like an injunction, that alone is not sufficient to stop the public officer. You must get an express order of the public officer before he stops. So for me, that's the way I see it.
Okay.
That's putting aside the CI 132 aside for now. You would use the Supreme Court principle that you need an express order to stop the public officer.
Thank you very much for this. And it's some 30 minutes at the top of the hour. And Nelson Ross,
yes.
Just 2 minutes on this. Quickly.
Yes.
2 minutes.
Let's avert our minds to Article 1125 of the Constitution. It says, whenever a vacancy occurs in Parliament, the clerk to Parliament shall notify the Electoral Commission in writing within 7 days after the vacancy occurred, and a by-election shall be held within 30 days after the vacancy occurred. Now, on the 27th day of November, I raised the matter in Parliament, and Speaker had cause to come pronounce on my position. And he said, the order emanating from the High Court Commercial Division, Tamale, is to the effect that ex nihilo nihilo fits. You can't put something on nothing and expect it to stand. The pronouncement that brought Nyindam to Parliament, for purposes of which he was sworn in, to serve as the elected representative for the people of Kpandai, had been declared null and void, and a rerun ordered. So he was no longer a member of Parliament. But he was saved by the rules of the Court of Appeal rules, automatic stay of 7 days.
Okay.
But upon the fruition of time for up to 1st December, it will no longer, my position will be tenable. So at the time I was raising the matter, it was premature.
Okay.
So Parliament acted upon that decision by Speaker. Automaticity of law.
Thank you.
So that's about it. But let me say this. What Zato said about the NDC is absolutely incorrect.
Okay.
We were a participant in that election. On the day of the collation, that was the collation center. And our candidate came there in his car. When the violence erupted, they had to come and evacuate people. Right. You have to show the video. Show the video.
I'll also give you the video.
So to say, look, it's the NPP that created the chaos.
All right.
Why were the ballot boxes taken to a place and Nyindam declared? You think that when Nyindam was declared, and we went to court, we could have brought an injunctive order to stop him, but we allowed him to hold office. In Jachikwesi, was not allowed. So when we made this argument, we needed to be very clear as to the entity that has suffered the greater damage. Now, in CI 127, clear provisions exist. That, for instance, in Regulation 36, if you interrupt the polls, it's an offense. The people who came there to interrupt the polls because we were leading, they have not been prosecuted. In Regulation 39, declaration of results are done at the polling stations, 152 polling stations. But we're not leading. Why were 41 polling stations destroyed so that Yindam could lead?
Thank you very much.
So now the court says, in pursuance of Regulation 43 of CI 1,
there's going
CI
to be
43, to CI 127, let us go and do a rerun. And you say that the results declared null and void or invalid by the court of law should stand.
Thank you.
Can't be.
There's a matter that still concerns you. That is going to be our next issue. But quite a number of your messages coming through right now. This here says that Dapia Mekpo doesn't joke with these constitutional instruments. He's an expert in that. You say thank you very much. This one here says that I have enjoyed the diversity in opinions expressed, says especially by Kofi Bentil on the specific pronouncement of the court about elections being won and lost at the polling station. Says that was an expert analysis. It says, can this be played back? And no, we're live on Facebook and YouTube, so you can always play it back. But as you do know, after the show, we put out short videos, and so you'll definitely hear that as well. Thank you. This one, this is coming from Hayford. Thank you very much. This one here says that Ni Odate Mills. Thank you very much for the message this morning. It says that he's referring to Lawyer Martin Pebble's backing vocalist. I don't know what that really means. Thank you for your message this morning. This one also here from Musa Batwa says that thanks to Honorable Dapia Mekpo for the legal education. The MPP have no moral justification to condemn the Speaker's pronouncement on vacant seats, you say. Thank you very much for your message this morning. This one here is from Dr. Kofi Kum Asante. Says, good morning. I agree with Kofi Bentil about the question of standard. Is this going to be the standard going forward? And what do our laws say when such matters happen? I think that it is important that clarity is brought to bear on this. Thank you very much for your message this morning. This one here says that I beg to differ with Kofi Bentil's points. Perhaps controversial elections would attract Kofi's assertion. Until elections become controversial, elections are won at the polling station, you say. Thank you. These are different in opinion, and I thank you very much for. And Dr. Arthur Kennedy, good morning. Thank you very much for your message this morning. And in fact, he's drawing my attention to the OSP matter, which is going to be our next issue. So, Dr. Arthur Kennedy, thank you for your message. I'm going to read that before we get on. Quick one.
Let's be clear about this. One, on the issue of whether an application to a court injuncts action, there have been rulings on both sides. I'm saying this because I think the lawyers have confused the public. There are rulings to the effect that if we are disputing this water, I want to drink it, you say I shouldn't drink it. Once I file a process, nobody will drink it until the court decides. The Park Plus matter also, they've ruled to the extent that, especially when it comes to public offices, etc. So let this go in to the public. There are rulings on both sides, and that's the nature of law.
Okay.
It depends on the fact. That is one. Number two, we have said over and over and over again that we need special elections adjudications courts. This is the reason why. Now, they hopefully can adjudicate these things quickly and seal it. Number three, and I think that most important, because the matters fall left and they fall right, depending on who is dealing with it, it is time for Parliament to agree a standard and work it out somehow into some LI or law or something, So we know that what will happen to an NDC candidate will happen to an MPP candidate, regardless of who is president or who is not, because this will happen again. And I won't be surprised if next time tables turn, the same people making the arguments today will change and make different arguments. It's not good for our democracy.
Okay.
And when it leads to the kinds of things you saw in Parliament, I worry about a degeneration. And then tomorrow you have something that we all regret.
Thank you very much. And thank you, the many of you who are also commending the discourse right from the beginning. And this matter has evolved from the poll tracker to what Musa Dankwa brought in, and then also what happened in Parliament, and we ended with the court's proceedings and also what's going to be happening on the December 30. So these are the 4 different angles we've been discussing on the Kpandai matter.